198 and Highway 19 in southern Van Zandt County. You want to go ahead and seek shelter in the most interior room, preferably with no windows towards the outside or doors that lead towards the exterior of your building. That is continuing to push to the north. We can go ahead and zoom out, Doc. We can go ahead and zoom out and put a track on this. It's pushing to the north at about 20 to 25 miles an hour, roughly, that area of rotation. And it should be in Canton here relatively soon. And again, that rotation is just right here, just out to that heavier core of precipitation where there's possibly some small hail in that area. North of 25 miles per hour, that's what put it in Jackson at 503, Canton at about 517. So in the next 15 to 20 minutes, Canton, you're definitely going to be wanting to hunker down and stay away from the windows and exterior doors as this pushes off to the north. Again, nothing has been confirmed from the National Weather Service in Fort Worth. This is all radar indicated information. Doc Easton, do you have any more information for us on this warning?
Yeah, Alberto, as you said, Tundra, Canton in the path of the warned storm. The rotation looks pretty, it's pretty well defined. Looking at some off-camera products here, the concern for this, again, is going to be for if there's nothing tornadic there, we're still going to have some pretty good straight line winds coming south side of Canton here pretty quickly. And we've got, of course, a lot of folks who are getting ready. I believe it's First Monday weekend, so
yes,
we've got a lot of folks in trailers and whatnot there at the First Monday site. So we need to be buttoned up and ready to handle this situation for the strong straight line winds, even if there's not a tornadic situation in play. Strongest rotation continues to be sitting. I'm going to put this back and do the let's take this off first, Alberto, and we'll get back. I'm going to reposition and get us a little bit. Let's see here. Let me do this. We're going to move it, kind of recenter things a little bit, and let's get a little bit closer in and try to identify a couple of additional roads here while we can. So there's again, that's 198, 19. There's a I think it's a county road or farm to market road 1651, which runs from 19 to 198, which is going to be right in this general area here. So that's going to be crossing kind of from west to east. Let's get back into our rotational product and see again kind of where that's looking at. Yeah. Alberto still looks south and east of Jackson. And just right there, almost splitting the difference exactly between 19 and 198.
Correct. And that latest scan actually shows the colors to be a little brighter, a little hotter is what we call them. And that actually indicates that the winds have actually strengthened somewhat and that rotation has continued to get more tighter. And that's why we have that gate-to-gate shear. That's when the pixels actually butt up next to each other there, that outbound and the inbound influx there of the winds. And that we're looking at, it started off with broad rotation earlier as it made its way through Gun Barrel City, but as it crossed over, that rotation has continued to get tighter and tighter as the updraft continues to get stronger, and that latest scan actually shows it, the pixels separating just a little bit, so still tight enough rotation, enough to consider the tornadic threat with this, which is why the National Weather Service in Fort Worth has pushed out that warning. Right now, the severe thunderstorm warning is still in effect for 5:45, but the tornado warning itself is in effect until 5:30. We still have about a good 37 minutes with that warning. It is pushing again to the northeast at 25 miles an hour, roughly. So if you are around the Canton area, as you mentioned, yes, first Monday, we're looking at a pretty extensive, dangerous situation out here as a lot of folks make their way towards Canton for this particular weekend.
We're looking at probably about 70 to 80 mile an hour of shear there, Alberto, just looking at the overall gate-to-gate. So
okay.
It's plenty enough to produce some damage, even if there's not a tornado there. We've still got plenty of wind, which is going to be problematic. Again, like you said, with this First Monday deal, you got a lot of tents, you got a lot of things that are going to be much looser and less secure to the ground, which are going to be in most likely direct path of this thing as it continues running up 98 or run up 19 rather.
Yeah, and if you're home right now watching this and you know somebody who's out there at the First Monday Park for out in Canton, you definitely want to shoot them a text message, tell them to go ahead and seek shelter immediately, as this storm will be there in about the next 15 to 20 minutes. And as Doc Deason mentioned, even if there is not an actual tornado, the winds mixing down could be anywhere from 50 to even 70 miles per hour. And ahead of that, we should be seeing anywhere from dime to even penny-sized pocket change hail falling just on this north side of the updraft as the storm continues pushing off to the north and northeast out here. Again, Jackson, you seem to be just west enough of that actual core of that rotation, but I would still hunker down as you are in that tornado warning. Flying debris is definitely going to be one of the main concerns with some of the stronger winds, even if it is not an actual tornado. And I don't know if we have any reports from storm spotters in that area or actually observations from the National Weather Service in Fort Worth. Have you seen anything lately, Doc?
Nothing yet, Alberto. I know we do have some folks who are out and are going to be watching this situation who've been more or less monitoring it from Smith County, but I'm in contact or attempting contact with those folks right now. So we'll see if we have some spotters that are in that area. But again, the warning officially, the reason we're here, tornado warning in place until 5:30. It says radar indicated. You got that, and also the potential for 1.25 inch sized hail. Van Zandt County is the only county involved in the tornado warning right now. As you can see, you've got I-20, this storm south of I-20 in Van Zandt County, south of Canton, between 198 and Highway 19. Moving north at I'm trying to see here, about 25 miles an hour.
Right, and if you're at if you're at that convergence zone of 243, Highway 243, 19, 198, if you are around that area, you definitely want to seek shelter as this rotation is going to be there in just a matter of minutes out here. And again, we're not told or observed anything yet. This is all radar indicated, as Doc Deason just mentioned. But the concern is that the radar is actually so far away from this location that all the data that we get for the velocity products is a little bit muddy and hard to read and interpret. So just because we're seeing the warning and the rotation, it may not look as impressive as other signatures in past events. The fact that the data is coming in rather muddy could actually make it a little more harder, and there may actually be something on the ground right now. Nothing has been confirmed yet. We don't have a tornado emergency at the moment, but this is one of our storm tracks indicating that there is some good amount of rotation amongst this storm, and one of the things that we look at to indicate whether a storm is strengthening or weakening is the amount of lightning. As the lightning count increases, that storm continues to grow and become stronger, and as we start seeing the lightning decrease, that indicates to us that the storm is actually weakening somewhat. But we're not looking at any weakening trends right now. That rotation continues pretty significant across the southern Van Zandt County, and we're looking at that track to continue pushing off to the northeast at about 25 miles per hour. So again, if you're in the Canton area, you have friends and family there, be sure to pass along the information. Hey, tornado warning, possible rotation heading your way. Doc, you got something?
Alberto, new tornado warning now coming out for Henderson County. This will be Henderson County storm rotating near Malakoff, moving northeast at about 25. So we'll push this first and let folks know who were with us there near Malakoff, especially just to the west, northwest of Malakoff. Here's Highway 198. Let me get my pointer here in position.
So between 198 and 274, again, that storm track is showing that broad rotation. And a few scans ago, we were able to see that broad rotation, and it appears that it has tightened somewhat north of Trinidad. If you're in the log cabin area, you definitely want to seek shelter. Again, the most interior room and the first floor. If you do have a multiple-story house or even an apartment, you want to head towards the first floor of your apartment and the inner stairwell, but again, away from every window, and again, that's continuing to push off to the northeast. These are the supercell storms we were concerned with ahead of the cold front. We're still waiting for that cold front that's still out towards the Dallas area to continue pushing from west to east, and that's going to possibly throw off a little squall line, which is damaging wind concern. But right now, we're seeing the supercell activity with lots of broad rotation going on right now, lots of lightning indicating the strength of this storm. And we're also looking at the possibility just north of that updraft, where we start seeing that downdraft, to produce anywhere from quarter-size hail is what the National Weather Service has been going with. Haven't seen any reports of large hail yet, but again, these storms have fired up and intensified rather rapidly here in the last about 45 minutes to an hour or so, and they're going to continue doing so for the remainder of the afternoon into the evening hours out here. Again, log cabin, Highway 198, if you're along that path, anywhere from Malakoff and areas north of there, you do want to seek shelter immediately in your safe room and have a plan. And if you know anybody in this area who may not be watching the television right now, you do want to go ahead and contact them, send them a text message, tell them to download our app, because we're live on there right now as well. Here's that rotation. We're finally looking at that rotation. Not as impressive as the storm in Van Zandt County, but just close enough. Those pixels are just close enough to where we could possibly see a funnel come out of this, and for sure a wall cloud associated with this. And the center of rotation looks to be just to the west-southwest of log cabin, just west of Highway 198. Doc?
17 hours.
Yeah, 5 o'clock right now, Alberto. You're watching KYTX Tyler Longview as we get the legal stuff out of the way. Two areas of concern. We got this warning here just west of Log Cabin. The rotation, as Alberto said, not as impressive as it was here a scan or so back, but the other area of concern is going to be as we get back further to the north and get into Van Zandt County. With the storm, which is getting awfully close to Canton. And, of course, as we talked about here a couple of minutes ago, First Monday Trades Day going on right now, and that means we got a lot of folks who are outdoors, a lot of folks who are in areas that are not quite as sturdy as we might like just for a generalized thunderstorm, much less something that's going to be producing winds that could be running in the 60 to 80 mile an hour range.
Right,
Alberto.
Doc, and that gate-to-gate shear, that area of rotation that we look at for the actual funnel, even if we don't see a tornado with this, we're going to see some strong gusty winds, and it looks to be crossing into Highway 19 here probably the next few seconds to a minute or two or so as it continues pushing off to the northeast at about 25 miles per hour. We should get a new scan here relatively soon showing us a better depiction of where this rotation is at, but it's going to be on Highway 19 right now, so if you know anyone who lives in that area, give them the heads up. You want to seek shelter immediately. And I know it sounds silly, folks, but the kids, if you can throw a helmet on their heads, it'll help them from any flying debris across the area, and even the hailstones in the event that your roof does get blown off. But we're looking at some strong winds, anywhere from 50 to 70 miles per hour in the event that we do not get an actual tornado with this storm. And again, Canton, you're in the direct path of this rotation, this possible tornado.
Absolutely, Alberto. And besides that, we've got a lot of lightning coming out of this storm as well. Here's the lightning detection system. You can notice the strikes there. The more recent ones are the brighter shaded ones, and the less recent ones they begin to notice that they kind of begin to fade out a little bit there along 198. There's a couple. But they're going to be popping at random. Lightning can strike up to 10 miles away from a thunderstorm. So even though you may not be hearing any thunder at your location, if you're anywhere from 64 on the east side to especially along 198 on that western end, but 64 especially to the east, you need to be aware that lightning is going to be a potential issue there. Rotation approaching southeast side of Canton. Continues to be pretty strong according to the Weather Service. No reports of a tornado officially yet, Alberto, by trade spotters and those who are in the know on such things. So that's encouraging, at least to hear right now.
That is encouraging, as you mentioned. Yeah, it's always nice to have the eyes on, and see what exactly is playing out. The radar only tells us so much, and these National Weather Service offices are usually anywhere from 50 to a couple hundred miles away from the actual weather that's going on, so they have to rely heavily on the information that we get from our storm spotters, as well as the technology that we have with radars and satellite imagery.
Yeah. Here's a broad look at what we're dealing with. The two storms kind of back to back. As we go further back to the southeast, nice looking storms also over the Cherokee County area, northwest Nacogdoches. Be aware of that. There's the last 45 minutes worth of data. You can see how these things have really just exploded in about the last hour and a half. And we knew things were going to go big if they were able to go this afternoon. We've got a lot of stuff cooking in the atmosphere, and the only thing that's been holding this back has been a kind of a cap of warm air aloft, which sits up between about 10 and 13 to 15,000 feet up. That's been holding us down today, but it looks like we have managed to obviously break that out, and so there come the storms. Weather Service is going to go with a new storm, a new severe thunderstorm warning for Kaufman County here. Hail main threat on that one. That does barely outside of our coverage area, but still something to make note of. As Alberto was talking about, you can see these little, let me put this back into current mode. Looks like some hail potential there. Our system indicating hail there, northwestern part of the city, and northwestern part of Nacogdoches County, I should say. So let's get in there real fast and see what we're working on. We've got that hail potential there just south of Cushing. The system itself is not indicating a size on that as of yet, but indicating that it could be a problem. They're south of Cushing, so we'll be mindful of that. It looks like we've got a new severe thunderstorm warning now coming out for Henderson County. That's just being posted until 6 o'clock as well. Weather Service is just now sending that out, so they're going to include Henderson and Kaufman County in that warning for that storm. I wouldn't be surprised to see this stuff in Cherokee County and northern Nacogdoches County also warrant something here soon. Tornado watch coming for the eastern counties of North Texas, so that's going to be probably us. Let's just assume we'll be involved in that, and that'll be coming out until 10 o'clock. So Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center is coordinating that right now, and they will be they'll be ready to lay that box out, and as soon as it is laid out, we'll see it here on the radar screen. As it stands now, we've got 2 counties under warning. Both of them are 2 counties under warning. 1 county involved with a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning. And actually, correction, we've got Rains County and Hopkins County also in severe thunderstorm warnings there. Those run till 5:30. Haven't talked about those in a while. Weather Service continuing their tornado warning. They just reissued an update on that, continuing that until 5:30. And let's get the latest on that here. Tornado, we have a pretty good idea as to where it is. Storm capable of producing a tornado located near Canton, moving north at around 30 miles an hour, Alberto. So
yes, and meteorologist Ashley Kramnik has notified us that we do have a photographer, Jason Garrett, and also a reporter out in Canton right now. However, they're off duty, so they don't have their equipment with them, but hopefully we can get a picture from them. And if they do so, please do so in a safe manner. We don't want to put yourself in harm's risk at all. That rotation continues. If we can go ahead and show the velocity products over this real quick, Doc. Sorry to bother you. I know you're busy over there.
Good. Stand by.
But we want to make sure we see where the rotation is focused at right now. And actually, see the hotter colors that I was telling you about? The brighter the colors are, the stronger the winds get. And again, that could be a little misleading because of our distance from the actual radar site. This radar site is actually just south of Fort Worth, so by the time it reaches out here towards Canton, Van Zandt County, it's anywhere from, 12 to 15,000 feet in the air. So it's giving us some bad information, but enough to warrant what's going on. Again, tornado warning continues until 5:30. Is that correct, Doc?
Yeah, 5:30 on that, and it could be this storm starts to lean over aloft. The storm is going to start to lean a little bit to the east, so that may be displaced a little bit further to the east than what actually may be going on, just due to the curvature of the earth and the way these things will start to lean over.
So to play it safe, if you're anywhere between Highway 19, Highway 64, and just southeast of Canton, that's where we're seeing the rotation right now, and it's continuing tracking to the east side of the town into the I-20 corridor. That's going to be a big concern as well. It's the weekend, folks are traveling. That's going to be a busy highway, so it could spell for some disaster. I remember we had that tornado, was it 2 years ago, I believe, in Van, where it crossed across Interstate 20 and knocked a few semis off the highway there. And we're just about this time of the year, too. It was right around Mother's Day when this happened.
Yep.
And we saw that storm cross through Van, unfortunately creating a lot of disaster out there and demolishing the schools, the local schools. But we're seeing that rotation. Yes, sir.
Tornado watch coming out now, Alberto. Storm Prediction Center just issued the box. It'll be coming out here in a minute. The cell Weather Service got some spotters saying they're watching a rotating wall cloud over Canton right now from Highway 19 and 243. Looking back to the east.
So they're looking this way and they see a rotating wall cloud. Here's the latest scan, actually. Now, what we were mentioning, that gate-to-gate shear, those hot colors next to each other, as you can see, are no longer as close as far as those pixels are concerned. So that means that the rotation is becoming a little bit broader. The broader the rotation gets, the better it is, because you need that tight area of circulation and rotation to create those funnel clouds that do come down to the ground. And once that funnel cloud reaches the ground, that's when we, ladies and gentlemen, that's when we have a tornado. But the broader the rotation, the better the news is for us. And again, especially on a day like this where we have first Monday trade days out in Canton, and we have a lot of folks traveling for the weekend as we start heading towards the I-20 corridor. And
Let's look at this storm here, Alberto, over Henderson County right now. It's got looks like a heck of a hail signature with it for sure.
Yeah, this purple magenta color you're seeing right here, it's indicating high decibels and a high amount of precipitation with that area, and usually indicates what we're looking for as the hail core. Right now, the National Weather Service, I do believe, is calling for the possibility of 1.25 inches for the max size as far as the hailstone is concerned. That's over, just a little bit over than a size of a quarter, maybe about a ping pong size hail.
Probably ping pong ball, I would bet.
Ping pong ball size hail, yeah. So that's going to come down. That's going to create some damage, especially on your sidings, your windows, your cars. You definitely, if you're in a vehicle, you want to head inside to a safe building, and again, your safe place. Most interior room in your house or building, away from all walls, actually not walls, all windows and doors and entrances to your house. So again, this hail core just to the immediate northwest of Malakoff, heading towards Log Cabin as this pushes off to the northeast at 25 miles per hour. So if you're along Highway 198 between here and what do we have a little further north? as far as identifiers?
Let's see here. I'll bring it up to the north
no
there.
worries.
So 198, you got a lot of rural sections, log cabin, and a lot of those rural communities there.
Star Harbor.
On either side of 198. Star Harbor, yeah.
Yeah, if you're in Star Harbor, you're probably hearing some good hail falling in your area right now. A lot of cloud-to-ground lightning, and that rotation is just around that area as well. Remember, this rotation was a little broad, not as tight or well-defined as the Van Zandt storm was earlier, but again, we've are still noticing that the potential for a wall cloud is still in this area, and no reports. This is all radar indicated from the National Weather Service in Fort Worth as far as the tornado warnings are concerned. Nothing has been observed as a funnel hitting the ground and creating what we know as a tornado.
160 lightning strikes there, Alberto. Just did a lightning query on this,
So
this pocket.
The lightning query that he's talking about, we're looking at this red square that he filled out. That's 160 strikes in the last 15 minutes. That's indicates that it's a pretty strong storm. Normally we see of about 10 to 15 for a moderate general afternoon summertime thunderstorm, but as we head towards the heart of spring severe weather season here, 160, that's a pretty strong storm, especially for such a small area that you highlighted there, Doc.
Yeah, absolutely. We continue to monitor this Canton storm. Weather Service had seen reports of a rotating wall cloud there near the Canton, kind of the I-20 corridor there running through Canton. We continue to, let me get this back into our inside the storm mode and just kind of noodle around here for a second. Not as impressive as it was earlier insofar as the intensity of the winds there, Alberto, but still some rotation nonetheless.
Still some rotation, and as you mentioned, yes, not as intense, not as tight. The rotation is much broader now. But again, this all could be misleading as we're looking at about 10 to 12,000, even 15,000 feet up in the air. So these winds could be a little misleading. We could have actually the potential for more surface-based rotation closer to the ground, which could spin up enough for a small tornado. But again, that's why the National Weather Service continues with this severe, or not severe, but tornado warning until 5:30 p.m. for Van Zandt County. And it looks like the hail core, if there's any with this, is on the east side of town. Everything looks to be to the east of Highway 19 right now, about to be crossing over I-20 and heading north of there currently.
Yeah. The new severe coming out, it's Lamar, Fannin, and Delta County. So they're going to, as these storms back up north into Hopkins County and Rains County continue to scoot to the north, Weather Service is now putting out a new severe thunderstorm warning for winds of around 60 miles an hour and an inch hail for Delta Fannin, Hopkins, Hunt, Lamar, and Rains County. So that goes until 6 o'clock. Broad rotation, weaker stuff. The green rotating arrow there indicating less concern for rotation there north of Emory right now. Still something pretty, very, very broad. But these storms this afternoon are going to be, there's a lot of spin in the atmosphere in the lower parts, and so these storms are manifesting themselves they're really displaying that today, and we have been concerned about that, but we've been overwhelmingly concerned about the wind damage threat later on as the main, what we thought, main line was going to come through.
That has yet to come. Yeah, that cold front's still west of our area, so we're still waiting for that squall line to still develop. It actually hasn't developed because the cap held off a little stronger out towards the Dallas-Fort Worth area earlier today. But as you can see, it has quickly eroded here in the last hour and a half to 2 hours, and that's when we saw those showers just pop up and quickly become strong to even severe, as you're noticing right now with the several severe thunderstorm warnings that we do have in place, and even the tornado warnings that we have in place for Van Zandt County and Henderson County with the rotation that's being observed. All radar indicated right now. Nothing has been confirmed on the ground. The only confirmation we have is from spotters around the Canton area where they saw a spinning, rotating wall cloud just east of town along Highway 19. Yeah,
and I'm seeing we may have some Twitter video. I'm going to have to get Chris to give me some confirmation on that. We may have some video of something up around, have something that had happened up closer to Grand Saline here in the last hour or so. Nothing immediate. This is something in the past here. Sirens being sounded in Van as a precautionary measure, the Weather Service is saying. So if you're with us in Van, as Alberto talked about, this storm here is going to pass, it looks like, just to the west of you. So I don't want to, we always want to take our tornado precautions when we've got, the area near you under a warning, but they are going to sound the sirens, or they are doing that at this time in Van, and the fire chief there said they're going to do that as a precautionary measure for folks in in that easternmost part of Van Zandt County. The rotation with this storm does not look as impressive as it did a little bit ago, and we've been telling you that. Weather Service is also more or less reiterating that same thing. They are much more concerned about what's going on down around Star Harbor in the western sections of Henderson County, and I would definitely second that. That's an impressive-looking storm. A lot of hail potential, although it's not as broad, or not as maybe as intense as it was just a couple of scans ago, but there's definitely something cooking there north of Malakoff and near the log cabin area right now. So here's back inside the storm there, Alberto. You see what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You want to show that?
Yes, we'll do. So we were talking about the broad rotation with this storm not too long ago, and as the scans continue to update and the new information comes in, we're seeing that we once again have what we call that gate-to-gate shear, where we have those hotter, stronger winds closer together and just pixels away of the outbound. The red is the outbound winds, and the green is the inbound winds, and that's where we're seeing that rotation right now. That rotation is turning out this way, and just as it gets tighter, that's when we start being concerned with the funnel clouds, and then eventually that funnel clouds make its way down to the ground, becomes a tornado, and that's just to the west of 198. To the that latest scan shows that rotation just west and northwest of log cabin. And as you notice, that latest scan came in, and those hot colors are not there as much. But we still want to take precaution and head towards the most interior room, away from any windows with this storm. As that rotation that we're seeing is actually in the mid levels of the storm, about 10 to 12, even 15,000 feet up, as we're so far away from the radar site, the actual radar site. So we could actually still have some pretty tight rotation down to closer to the surface, closer to the ground. And that's what we're concerned with, because we can't see that. We can't physically see that unless we have storm spotters, and we unfortunately don't have any reports of spotters in that area right now, and that storm continues pushing off to the northwest. So if you're in Eustis and you're watching right now, you definitely want to continue monitoring the situation. You definitely want to have your plan, because in the next couple of minutes, this rotation is going to be right over your house, and you're going to, you want to definitely have a plan. Action always beats reaction, folks. So remember that. Action beats reaction. So you want to have a plan and start knowing what to do here in the next couple of minutes as the storm pushes off to the northeast. Doc, if we can just go ahead and zoom out just a little bit here. I'm going to focus on this area of rotation right here and put a tracker on it so you can go off to the northeast at about, what, 20 to 25 miles an hour?
Yeah, about 25. We'll just go from,
we're looking right here, right above that mezzo. And if you're in the path of the storm, if you're in Eustis, log cabin, again, Faba, Jackson, you definitely want to start seeking some shelter. That doesn't guarantee that this rotation is going to hold tight all the way through that time, but it's definitely something to keep an eye on and keep your ear to the ground as this continues pushing off to the north and northeast. These storms have been pulsing, though, especially in the last about 15 to 20 minutes. They'll pulse up, and you'll see that rotation and that hail core strengthen up. And then a few scans later, it'll kind of dissipate a little bit and become broad, and then the hail core kind of drops a little bit, and then a few moments later, it'll pick back up, and that's when we'll start seeing the possibility that pulsing is what we call, is what we're going to be concerned with, because we don't know when and where that rotation will tighten up.
Yeah, we continue to be most impressed with this storm. There is actually still a warning out for Van Zandt County until 5:30, and I want to reiterate to folks who are with us in Van right now, you heard the sirens being sounded. The folks there in Van did that as a precautionary measure. The rotational potential being displayed in that storm, not nearly as impressive as what we're seeing down here just to the west of Athens. And we want to welcome folks who are watching us on the CBS19 app. If you just received a notification, that was from me, and we are sending that out to let you know that we've definitely got a situation out at westernmost sections of Henderson County right now that has prompted this warning. We have not seen any reports, at least, of anything officially having touched down in the Henderson County area yet. There are some pictures, and there is apparently some video floating around of a couple of different folks who think they may have seen something out in the Van Zandt County earlier on. But we're going to continue to monitor this here and bring you information as it comes into us. Very strong rotation right now on the south, just south of Eustis, moving northeast at 25. Weather Service continues to monitor this, and they seem most impressed with this area right in here, where let me get my pointer and I'll show you what we're talking about. Right in here from log cabin back south, moving northeast at about 25 miles an hour. So Eustis, here's 175, which continues to cross over, and that's going to be the area of greatest concern right now. Alberto, you want to kind of mark that off on the screen there?
Yes, definitely.
And I'm going to be sure we've got push notifications going out like they need to on this here.
Thank you, Doc. Thank you. meteorologist Ashley Kramlik was here earlier this morning monitoring the morning storms, and we're looking at this area of rotation, as Doc just mentioned. It is over Log Cabin right now, and then the storm track takes it right into Eustis, and we continue getting the latest scans. So Highway 175, US 175, that's what we're looking at right there as that pushes off to the northeast at 25 miles per hour. And the main threat right now is that broad rotation. There may be some funnel clouds associated with this, definitely a wall cloud associated with it. And then on the north side, since the storm is moving from southwest to northeast, on the north side right now, Eustis, you could be in that hail core as far as the dime size to even quarter size hail falling just along Highway 175 right now. That's where the heaviest of the decibels is for us. And Doc, if we can go ahead and real quick and take off the track and zoom out just a little bit, because we've got a few scans and it's pushed a little further north.
Yeah, and understandably so. And let's see here. We'll pull this out just a hair for you. And let's look at what's happening out there's the, as you said,
it just
right on
updated
the money, brother. South of Eustis there.
All right, just to the south of Eustis. This is heading right towards you. I'm telling you. I told you a few moments ago, you want to have a plan, and action always beats reaction. Right now is the time to start looking for your safe room, your safe area. That's definitely going to be in the most interior part of your house. If you are in a building by any chance, head to the lowest floor, the most interior room away from windows is where you want to be to protect you from any flying debris. And as Doc mentioned a few minutes ago, even if there's not a tornado with this, we're still going to see some very strong winds associated with it as it pushes across Highway 198 north of Log Cabin now is where that area of rotation is right now. Just north of town is where we're seeing that area of rotation in Eustis. You're dead on for the track for this rotation to head over your area. Nothing has been confirmed for this storm yet. It's all radar indicated, but we're going to continue to chat about it here for the next couple minutes as we continue with that warning. That warning still set for 5:30, Doc?
Yes, sir. 5:30 should be the expiration time on that. Let me double check and be sure we're giving you that, but I believe that is, let's work off of that assumption. So 5:21 here right now, and I have a feeling even with a 5:30 expiration time, they're going to probably extend that here because this thing is not going to be out of the county by 5:30.
Yeah, and that atmosphere is ripe for severe weather today. We do have a lot of energy out there, and it took a while for those storms to fire up because we still had a stronger cap than what was originally forecasted, but that cap has eroded, especially in the last hour and a half, 2 hours, and boom, we have the severe weather threat. And again, this is ahead of that cold front, so ahead of that squall line that we're still anticipating later on in the evening. We're looking at it's 5:22 right now, roughly.
Yes, sir.
And that continues pushing off to the northeast. The good news is that the hail core, where we saw the bright purples earlier, that doesn't seem to be a factor right now as we continue seeing the storm pushing off to the northeast. So that could be a slight indicator of it possibly weakening a little bit, but the rotation is still in play and looking pretty good right now as far as that hail is concerned. But we are still seeing the possibility of that rotation, that funnel cloud across East Texas, and especially Eustis. Eustis, you are definitely dead on the track for this rotation right now, just along Highway 175, and it's going to be heading towards looking at southern Van Zandt County here probably in the next 15 minutes or so. So once again, we could possibly see another tornado warning out towards the Canton area and possibly even Van. Yes, sir.
I'm looking at just velocities in here. Coming into Eustis, probably already into Eustis right now. Going to be crossing the highway there, 175. Probably 60 to 70 mile an hour winds potentially there. And then you've got the area of rotation, which is still back to the southwest of that. You're looking at, if there's going to be a tornado, it's likely going to be there southwest of Eustis, but you're going to have some hefty winds coming into Eustis already, probably right there. So, just be aware, even though the winds may be really picking up, that may not necessarily be the end of the threat, even though you're seeing that, that wind speed really start to crank up on you. So the warning officially goes until 5:30. Weather Service expect them to reissue that. Now they're going to, and they just did, issue tornado warning until 6 o'clock for Henderson and Van Zandt County. So we've got a new warning coming out now as the Weather Service sees the same thing that we're seeing, and that is a storm that's not in any big hurry to get out of Henderson County, and once it does, it's going to scoot over into Van Zandt County.
And the verbiage of that latest warning actually talks about the hail size being less than 3/4 of an inch now. So as I mentioned about the reflectivity and the decibels, that purple that we were seeing earlier, that hail core is no longer a significant threat right now, but that rotation continues pretty nicely across just north of Log Cabin and around the Eustis area along Highway 175. So that's where we're seeing that rotation right now. And as we mentioned, it's going to be making its way into Van Zandt County. So wouldn't be too surprised. Canton, you're still under the old tornado warning. You're not under the new tornado warning currently. Just the extreme southern parts of southwestern parts of Van Zandt County are under that new warning until 6 o'clock. But this is going to continue tracking to the northeast at about 20 to 25 miles an hour. So it'll probably be in the Canton area anywhere in the next 15 to 20 minutes. And this one, the track actually probably takes a little further to the east of that previous storm, so I wouldn't be too surprised if we see this scoot in between Canton and actual Van. But again, Van, you are not in immediate danger with that rotation. They're sounding the sirens for just precautions, and that came from the fire chief, I believe, or the emergency management office?
Yeah, that was the fire chief who was notifying us of that earlier on, so appreciate that. And it's good to know that kind of thing, because you hear the sirens, you know, you've got history already. I mean, you know, there's a lot of post-traumatic stress that folks in the Van area are still dealing with and will be dealing with for a long time. So when you hear those sirens, things start to happen inside of you, and understandably so. So just be mindful of that. Alberto, this storm looks really strong. The winds there south of Eustis, I'd say we're dealing with probably maybe it's up to 70 to 75 mile an hour winds now inbound, and about 50 or so outbound on that storm southwest of Eustis.
Okay, so we still saw some pretty strong. So if you think about it, winds are going 70 to 75 miles per hour one way, 50 miles per hour the other way. Bam, you have a 125 mile per hour rotating piece of area of air in that region. So, man, the circulation is still not as well defined as it was a few moments ago, but still there, strong enough and capable enough. And we're looking at the winds in the mid-levels of the storm. We're basically cutting the storm right in half in the middle of it, about 12,000 feet or so. So the winds could be a little bit weaker at the surface, but still, what we can't see is what's concerning for us, because we can't see the rotation that's going on at the low levels, and that's why we rely heavily on the storm spotters across that area. So we do have winds coming in this way, we do have winds coming in that way, and that's where we start seeing that rotation. And the tighter that gets, that's when it becomes more concerning right now. You can
see that, really. You can kind of make it out, Alberto, if you just look at the color contours there, southeast of Paine Springs. You kind of notice how they're, if you look at it closely and you understand what you're looking at, and I know you do, you can kind of make out that rotation there, the way that the color contours are just kind of bending around that mesocyclone there south of Eustis.
And another concerning part is that this rotation, Doc, is in the middle of all this precipitation, all this rain, and all this hail. So if there is a tornado on the ground, it's going to be really difficult to see even to the trained eye. So don't go out there trying to get that picture of the week. Definitely want to seek shelter, especially if you're anywhere from Eustis down towards Stockard. We're looking like that rotation is going in between that area, just along Highway 175. And again, this is radar depicted, that circulation that you see there, that moderate circulation. The velocities will tell a better story as far as that storm track is concerned right here.
Weather Service is saying 100 knots of shear approaching Eustis right now, Alberto. That's coming out of the chat room for you. Just so it looks like they're seeing the same thing we're seeing here with those velocities that we were talking about.
Are they by any chance, Doc, talking about where in the storm this 100 mile per hour
No, they're not. They're just saying 100 knots of shear approaching Eustis at this time. Very strong rotation. Eustis in the path of the rotation. So that it goes with basically right along with what we've been talking about here, if not Eustis and just south of Eustis. But,
so even if there's not a tornado on the ground, we're going to have ridiculously strong winds, like you mentioned, anywhere from 50 to 70, and the radar is actually indicating a possibility of up to 100 mile per hour winds with this. So we're looking at some really, really strong winds, and you definitely want to stay away from all the windows, because that flying debris is what's going to be one of the main concerns for you if you're caught outside. So if you're outside heading indoors right now, if you know anybody who lives in this area, tell them to get to their safe room, which, Doc, you know it, most interior room in the house, away from all walls and windows and doors, not walls, but windows and doors. And again, we could be seeing a rain-wrapped tornado possibly in this area, which will be difficult to see to the trained eye. Those storm spotters will have a hard time seeing this, so it'll be much more difficult for those that don't know what they're looking for or looking at.
Absolutely. I'm sending out another message here, too. You need to be in the safe shelter spot now. If you're in Eustis, if you're south of Eustis, this is nothing to play around with. I know the day's been quiet so far, and we have just watched the lid blow off this thing, as we have been concerned about. Looking at the model data earlier on this week, especially yesterday, the amount of energy that is out there right now is really, really impressive. And when you allow that to be realized in the form of thunderstorms, and you have the kind of winds aloft and at the surface and everything that's coming together. This is it's a textbook situation for tornadic development and or strong straight line winds. This is going to eventually turn into a straight line wind event later on. But right now, it's just full-blown tornadic concern there from Eustis back to Stockard. If this thing were to make a turn to the right, as tornadic storms oftentimes do, if I'm in Stockard or anywhere along Highway 75, 175 southeast of Eustis, I want to be in that safe spot. And that's something we need to continue to kind of hammer home. Just because we're talking about Eustis doesn't mean that the folks back south and southeast of there don't need to be in their safe spot for sure. And this is going to be, and here comes another storm there near Malakoff, Alberta. I mean, right there near 274 and 31. Nice little hail core trying to get itself going again. North of Trinidad. No markers yet from our system, but it definitely is going to have the potential to maybe, it's got some broad rotation in it. But that storm back down near Trinidad is one we're going to need to keep the eye on as well. So they're kind of riding along the same path, and there's a meso marker right there. Let's get back into talking about folks back further downstream. If you're in southwestern Van Zandt County, southwest. We've got the warning. It does impact Van Zandt County, but the main storm itself is still just
All right,
to the south.
Go ahead, Alberto. Was just informed that you are having microphone issues right now, so I'm going to take over the talks here, and we're going to get you set up in just a moment. In the meantime, if you can go ahead and continue running the radar for me, and we'll get you set up with the new microphone. Again, Eustis, like Doc just mentioned, Eustis along 175. That's where we're going to be concerned as this storm rapidly makes its way back into southern parts of Van Zandt County. That tornado warning still in effect, that new tornado warning in effect for 6 o'clock p.m. Again, the rotation is what we've been noticing. Nothing has been observed as far as an actual tornado on the ground. But the unfortunate part, though, is that this storm continues to back build a little bit. And right now, looks like, see, that rotation just keeps bouncing around, Doc. We have that gate-to-gate shear once again. Just to the south of Eustis. So if you're on, that's going to be tracking just to the eastern part of town out here. Now's the time to get in that shelter and in that safe room and safe place in your house, which would be the most interior, the first level, the bottom level of your house or apartment. As far as that's continuing, 175 off to the northeast, 25 miles per hour in Canton, Van. You guys are not currently in this tornado warning, but I would continue to keep a close eye on it. And Doc, that latest scan showing some really impressive winds associated with this rotation right now. So we could be seeing the possibility of an actual tornado. We don't have anything confirmed yet, and that latest scan actually pushes it off just north, actually northeast of 175 right now, just east of Eustis. Let me go ahead and run this radar real quick as Doc gets his new microphone set up. Let's see what we got here. Looks like we may be All right, we don't have exact confirmation, but somebody from the spotter network confirms a tornado on the ground 1 mile south of Eustis. Again, if you're in the area, this is what you want to do. You want to be concerned with this rotation. And now that I got the radar fixed, spotter actually observed a tornado on the ground 1 mile south of Eustis, pushing to the northeast at about 25 miles per hour. If you're in Stockard, Eustis, flying debris is going to be a main concern for you. And even if you're not exactly right where that tornado is happening, you're going to be getting some strong winds associated with that strong level of rotation. Anywhere from a 70 to even 100 mile per hour winds could be possible as this continues trekking off to the northeast. Doc, do we have you hooked up yet or not?
Yeah, I'm hooked up. I'm back in.
All righty.
Sorry about that.
No worries. So 175, as we mentioned, just south and east of Eustis is where that was observed from a spotter on the ground. He actually saw the funnel touching the ground, so we have a tornado and the National Weather Service should be updating this tornado to change the verbiage a little bit to upgrade it to a confirmed tornado, not just a radar indicated.
Yeah, and Alberta, we've also got new Weather Service warning coming out for tornado. That storm that I was talking to you about there near Malakoff, they're going to go ahead and issue a tornado warning for that too. So that's coming up again, and that's near Trinidad. Let's see here. Yeah, let's look here. Malakoff, just to the west of Malakoff. Let's get back in tighter on this and see what the velocities look like real fast, if we can get in there. Oh yeah, look at that there, Alberto. Just west of Malakoff, and just west of Trinidad, or yeah, east of Trinidad and west of Malakoff. So that's our next kind of spot in line, so to speak, and that's got some hefty, probably 100-mile-an-hour of.
Is that new tornado warning you're talking
that's
about?
the new warning. Yeah, that's going to run until 6 o'clock for Henderson County. So
okay, so along Highway 31, Malakoff. If you're in Malakoff Log Cabin, once again, we just repeated this about 25, 30 minutes ago. You want to go ahead and make your way to your safe room, your shelter, whatever you have designated as your place of safe haven as far as tornadic activity is concerned. We have some really strong shear and gate-to-gate rotation indicators to indicate a possible tornado. This one is still radar indicated. Nothing has been confirmed or observed on the ground, but nonetheless, you do not want to take your chances as this tracks. It should be heading over 198 in the next couple of minutes here. Log Cabin to Malakoff. If you're anywhere between this area or know anybody, contact them. Send them a text message. Tell them to turn on the TV or even the radio for that matter, and find out what is going on for their area. But we're looking at some really strong indicators of inbound and outbound winds, and once we get that rotation, we got a disaster going on as far as what's going on with this storm, and it continues pretty strong. And also, we're looking at some hail possibilities on the north end of this storm. Again, you have your updraft, which is where the tornado is going to be at. Then just ahead of that, you're going to have your downdraft where the hail is going to come down. And so we're looking anywhere from Star Harbor for the possibility. Actually, that latest scan shows that hail core just to the southwest of Log Cabin, making its way across 198. So Malakoff, anywhere from Highway 31 around Malakoff up towards 198 and Log Cabin, you do want to go ahead and seek shelter immediately. Most interior room, away from any windows, and you want to bunker down for the next several minutes. It's going to be a bumpy ride here. This tornado warning out till about 6 in the evening. Is that correct, Doc?
That's correct, yeah. And again, as we've been talking about, these storms they're displaying. Notice how these, everything is more or less just kind of rotating back to the southeast. You can see this storm is rotating pretty obviously just by looking at it. It has kind of that classic hook, quote-unquote hook signature to it, so it makes it pretty obvious that we've got something significant going on there, even without looking at what we look at as far as the velocity data is concerned. Looks like we've had some reports that tornado did cross 175 up towards Eustis, Alberta. New tornado warning coming for western Hopkins County, too, now. So let's, all right, and it just came out. Weather Service going tornado warning until 6 o'clock. If you want to print that or push that, Alberto, until 6 o'clock for Hopkins County. So let's get up here and see what's cooking in Hopkins County as we say hello to folks there west of Sulphur Springs, I would bet. Yeah, there's the polygon. The concern there is going to be for this storm that's going to be west of Sulphur Springs. So if you're in Sulphur Springs, you got a pretty good light show back off to the west of you. And this thing's moving north. Looks like it's moving north-northwest, probably 25 to 35 miles an hour if I were to be a betting guy, based off of what these other storms have been doing. So this will be northwest part of Hopkins County where our new tornado warning is sitting at now until 6 o'clock. And that's, you know, Alberto, you can see
Doc,
the
real
there.
quick, I know this is a new tornado warning. We can go ahead and zoom out. This is a little concerning for me.
Okay.
As that track is actually heading northwest, not northeast like everything else here.
Yeah.
This tells me that we may start seeing a surface low beginning to develop ahead of this cold front. And when you get that surface low, that's when you start getting a lot more rotation and shear in the atmosphere. So that's concerning to see that this storm is actually heading northwest and not northeast like its brothers and sisters have been doing the last hour and a half or 2 hours or so.
Call.
So we may be seeing what's called a surface low developing just ahead of that cold front, and that's going to create another concern of some showers and thunderstorms for our southern counties. as that begins to back build a little bit. And also with that surface low, we'll start seeing some training going on across our western counties, the areas that have been getting lots of rain here in the last 2 hours. We're going to start seeing some training, and that's going to lead to the possibility of even some flash flooding concerns. So we do have a developing surface low, if you ask me personally. That's what's going on, and we're going to continue seeing that rotation in the atmosphere and that spin that spits out those tornadoes increasing here across East Texas. That's concerning for me.
Here's
Go
the
ahead,
main
Bob.
low back out, the upper low back out over New Mexico right now. So it's
right.
shoveling all that lift into the atmosphere here. Finally, we've got plenty of juice, and we're finally beginning to get this low close enough to us to really start to lift what was a really strong pocket of warm air aloft between about 10 and about 13,000 feet all day, and that's what kept things from getting out of control.
And you can see that, Doc, the last couple scans here of that water vapor imagery, you can see that just blow up over East Texas, just east of the I-35 corridor. So we do have the cap that held everything in place throughout the morning hours for the most part, and then all of a sudden that cap eroded. We have, as this pushes closer to us, our lifting mechanism is going to continue, and then we've had a strong southerly wind the last couple of days. I'm sure you felt the winds anywhere from 20 to 30 miles per hour the last couple of days coming in from the south, and all that did was just bust that Gulf open and leave that warm, rich tropical moisture to make its way into East Texas, and that's what's feeding these showers and thunderstorms, and again, just ahead of that lifting mechanism. And we've got a surface low beginning to develop across East Texas, which is going to actually amp up the rotation across the area and make it easier for these tornadoes to spin up.
Yeah, if you spend any time in West Texas, this feels a lot to me like West Texas thunderstorms, where you've got a cap in place all day, and then they just they explode on you in a very short amount of time. So let's get back in here, and now we've done a little bit of explanation on that, let's get in here and start hammering out at some of these storms again. Let's put the lightning back on. We're going to shrink those down, but we don't want to undersell the lightning concerns in these storms. They're going to be producing a lot of it, and when you've got storms that have that much lightning, you usually have some hail potential in there as well. Let's get the storm tracks back on to show you where the different areas of best rotation are just to the naked eye. Let's get back into this storm here near Trinidad, Alberto. That's impressive.
It looks like one of our viewers towards the Grand Saline area, it looks like he says he has some tornado damage at his property. We're sending a crew out there right now.
Okay. That's not surprising, sadly. Tornado debris signature now showing up on the tornado moving into Van Zandt County. This confirms the debris that is being lofted into the air. So let's get into this Van Zandt County storm. This is the one, this is this one right here, Alberto, I'm thinking. A little further, let's do that right here. Lose the lightning there real quick. All right. And let's see here where we are. Let's get the in the side of the storm. Yeah, there it is right there.
Oh, bullseye. Yes, this is definitely concerning, as we have some really bright colors that are basically at the end of the spectrum as far as the strong winds are concerned. This is winds well over 100 miles per hour going towards the radar, and then we have winds about 80 to 100 miles an hour going away from the radar. You mix those together, you got winds close to 200 miles an hour just rotating in a small area of circulation, and just along the county line out here west of Highway 19. Here's Highway 19. So once again, we mentioned it is first Monday trade days at Canton, and we're going to be seeing this heading towards you here probably in the next 10 minutes or so. So we want to hunker down if you're in the Canton area once again as this pushes off to the north and northeast at about 25 miles per hour. Really, really strong velocity indicator of severe weather ongoing right now.
Yeah, that's impressive, Alberto. So if you're near Sand Hill, 1256. Let me just read off some different county roads and smaller highways there. This is west of 19, southeast of Texas 198. 198 goes from Canton down to Jackson over to Falba, and this is going to be southeast of Falba and west of Highway 19. There is a lot of something or another going on right there, and so we need to be in our lowest floor, away from windows. You want to be if you've got a helmet to get on the kids, that's a great thing to do in these kind of situations. If you have anytime you want to be sure you've got shoes on, for sure. I know it's a Saturday. A lot of folks are leisurely. Maybe you're at home watching this here, and this is something that we definitely want to be prepared for whatever the storm has got to bring to us, and it looks like it's got quite a bit, Alberto.
Doc, this is the correlation efficient that we look at normally.
Yes.
The CCs, right?
Correlation coefficient, yes.
Correlation coefficient, there we go. I forgot the co in front of efficient. Correlation coefficient, and this actually indicates the different types of products or debris
Yes.
that we're seeing out there. And certain colors indicate rain, other colors indicate hail. And right now we're looking at this, what looks to be a lime green pixel. That's probably the debris ball that they're talking about, one of the signatures that we look for tornadic activity. So as the debris gets launched up in the air by the tornado, we start seeing the different colors come in and showing that there is a debris field currently flying around across the area. So south of Alba, we're looking at some strong gusty winds and the tornado on the ground currently for that location. It should be scooting just to the east of town, but you definitely want to take precautions and seek your way into your safe room. Definitely something not to play with right here as we go back to the regular radar here in just a moment.
Absolutely. Pull that off. I'm going to send this real quick, Alberto.
And we continue getting more and more tornado damage threat. Let's see. The National Weather Service in Fort Worth continues that tornado warning for Henderson and Van Zandt County until 6 o'clock. Tornado has been observed, so they have changed the verbiage on it.
Yeah.
To
and that's intentional.
That is intentional.
Very intentional.
There's a difference between a radar-indicated tornado warning and one on the ground. So this would be considered a tornado emergency across southern parts of Van Zandt County, northern parts of Henderson County, as that tornado has been observed just around the Eustis area about 10-15 minutes ago from one of the storm spotters, actually.
Yes. So we're talking about people who know what they're looking at, and as you said, tornado emergency is something that we don't talk much about until those have been observed. And it looks like that tornado continues to be observed southwest of Canton, approaching Highway 198. They're talking about the Jackson, near Jackson. So here we go a little bit north. There you go, Alberto, north of near Jackson 198. So that seems to be our area of greatest concern now as new data continues to come in. And we've got folks, spotters in the area, and there will be a lot of spotters converging on this area if they're not already there. They're going to be really just bullseyeing on this western section of East Texas, which is good for us because we need the most number of eyes of folks who know what they're looking at and can talk about it with some efficiency on a day like today.
Right, Doc, and I don't think the velocity product has caught up with it yet because we're still a little further south in the Jackson area, as you just described it. But we're looking at some really, really strong rotation going on right here with a confirmed tornado on the ground. This will be pushing east of 198, heading towards the Jackson area. You just saw the reflectivity product just update and push a little further north. So again, if you are in Canton or anywhere between the county line and Canton, between Highway 198 and Highway 19, you want to go ahead and seek shelter right now. Right now is the time to do it. You don't want to play games with this, as this tornado has been confirmed and observed on the ground, as we do have a tornado emergency in play for Henderson and Van Zandt County. That warning is still in effect until 6 o'clock, so we have another 13 minutes. And with that signature that we have for the velocities, I guarantee you that warning will be extended further north and extended probably to about 6:30 or 6:45.
Yeah, and moving northeast at 30, Alberto. So let me take this off, and I'm going to pull out just a, and we'll try to give ourselves a northeasterly movement on this thing and get some additional towns and cities in there. Stand by as we manipulate the radar here. Yeah, we are. I believe we are. Let's see. We can if we need to. Yeah, that's absolutely. We may have some of our radio affiliates picking up here shortly to help us out there. Here's a kind of a general move on this, although I don't like the fact that we don't have Canton in that particular polygon there. So we need to reorient this just a hair. Weather Service continues with an observed tornado. Last thing that they saw was the radar indicating southwest of Canton, approaching 198 near Jackson. That was about 3 minutes or so ago. So that's a rough little outline of some additional cities that are going to be impacted by this thing. So Fruitvale, Canton. My greatest concern again is the folks who were there at the first Monday trade days right now, and those tents and whatnot. You already dodged one bullet, and you got another one coming right at you out of the southwest. So let's handle that. Let's get back into this Henderson County storm too, Alberto, because I don't want folks in Henderson County to lose sight. This This is an impressive looking storm here now near Eustis, log cabin area. I would bet you with what's going on in the atmosphere, yeah, there we go, right there along 175. We had a storm, looked like I think a reported tornado that passed over 175 south of Eustis not long ago.
Not long ago, and
So
we're looking at
the
that
same path.
We're looking at that rotation take over that same path. I just mentioned not so long ago about the training for the rain concerns, because the rain keeps falling over the same areas over and over again. But now we're seeing that happen with the rotation, the areas of rotation. Right now, just northeast of Log Cabin, southeast of Eustis, just west of 175. Actually, probably by now it's on top of 175.
Yeah.
Making its way out there, and I would not be surprised if we get another confirmation out of this one. Again, this tornado warning is radar indicated right now for Henderson County, just south of Eustis and northwest of Athens. Athens, you look to be in the clear of this rotation with this particular storm, but we have more storms firing up. Your night is not over yet. As this storm pushes off to the northeast, about 25 to even 30 miles an hour, it should be crossing 175 right now as we speak, and following the same track and trajectory and path as that storm that's currently making its way across southern parts of Van Zandt County. So this would be the third area of rotation over the same exact path, Doc. What do you think of that?
I think it's impressive, and I think it's unfortunately not surprising given the atmosphere that we've got. Let's look back in this Van Zandt County storm. Weather Service, and I completely concur, very concerned about a rain-wrapped tornado here. Southern Van Zandt County tornado looks to be wrapped in rain. 110 knots of gate-to-gate shear noted on this particular circulation, Alberto.
So 110 knots, we bumped that up by a few miles per hour. We're looking at probably 125 mile per hour winds associated with this. And gate-to-gate, see those pixels? They're right next to each other. That means that in a very, very, very tight area, we have winds that are going towards the radar and winds that are going away from the radar, and boom, there's your rotation right there. And again, this is the confirmed, the observed tornado warning and tornado track that we're
try to get a little bit tighter in here, Alberto, see if we have any additional small towns that show up, but nothing doing at least there. You're kind of between 198 and 19. Let me scoot this over. So here's my pointer. Here's 19 to the east of you, and then there's Falba 198 going south. Southwest out of Canton. So where those two converge, that's Canton, and that's a big problem. We hope that 1256 kind of runs there right between Falba and Highway 19. So if you've got people along Highway 1256, they're running east-west. That'll be north of Sand Hill, most likely. Between 19 and 198. That's our greatest area of concern right now. And Weather Service continues to look at what could be a rain-wrapped tornado. So you're gonna have the tornado, but you're not necessarily going to be able to see it because of all the moisture in the air. If you step outside, dew point's what, 71 right now. So we've got an intense amount of moisture there. It feels like June versus the latter part of April across East Texas, and that's going to promote another danger insofar as being able to get this thing sighted in and know what you're looking at and not get caught off guard. So we'll pull that off, and let's zoom back out just a hair. I mean, look at there. It's not a whole lot evident on the radar that there's something cooking there along 198. And if it looks muddy on the radar, it's going to look really muddy in the open air. So let's be mindful of that. If you're in Canton, if you're south of Canton, between 198 and Highway 19, you need to be in a place of shelter now. If you have family members, folks who are over at First Monday, maybe they went over for Saturday, and I'm talking, it looks like Kevin Ramirez, one of our storm chasers, says he does have a tornado on his live stream, so he's watching something right now. I'm going to reach out to him and see where he is and try to get some additional confirmation on that. The more eyes we have on this thing, the better. And that's why it's a team effort. Weather Service, spotters, those of us here on the media side, we're all
want to give a quick hello to our viewers on Facebook and our KYTX CBS19 app. Right now, unfortunately, we're talking to you under a dire situation right now, as we do have a tornado emergency going on for Henderson and Van Zandt County. Confirmed tornado on the ground, currently heading towards Canton, and it's a big weekend out there as it's first Monday trade days for the Canton area, and we're seeing that rotation, really strong winds, anywhere from 120 to 140 miles an hour easily with the inbound and outbound velocities, and then that lightning indicates how strong that storm is right now. And if we can go ahead and stop this loop, and since the radar is actually pretty muddy, I will not keep with the velocity product on here.
Yeah, here we go. Bringing that back up right now.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Right
South
here.
of Jackson.
South of Jackson. Right now, if you're in Jackson, you should not be watching the television unless you brought it in with you in your safe room, whether it be a bathroom or a closet. Again,
Or you're watching on the app, maybe,
or
too.
you could be watching on the app as well. That's the smartest thing to do, especially if you lose power. What concerns me, Doc, is that this is storm number 2. We have number 3 going across Eustis right now. Now, the first 2 storms essentially rolled through and may have loosened a lot of things up, and then we have storm number 3 coming through, and it's just going to be a matter of just a slight gust to knock that debris out and create even more hazards, and whatever debris we do have left over from the first 2 storms is going to be tossed around as well. So you don't want to be caught outside with any of these storms currently as we continue with the tornado warning until 6 o'clock, and I don't know if they have been extended. I stepped away for just a moment there. Do you have the latest times there, Doc?
Let's see here. We've got...
and if you want, we can keep the auto query on so we can just keep the times.
Yeah, let's do that. Let you handle that, and I'm gonna push this here real quick. Sending out a new push notification for the folks there who are with us in the Van Zandt County area. We do what we can to get as much notice out on these things as we possibly can on a day like today. So let's do that, and I'm going to step over here.
All right, so we have Van Zandt till 6:15.
Yes.
And that's with that observed tornado that was on the ground around the Eustis area, and we do have storm spotters that have verified that. And we still have the old warning for Henderson and Van Zandt till 6 o'clock, and then we have that one for Henderson that was Malakoff, which has pushed off to the northeast around actually around Eustis by now, right?
Yeah, it's getting pretty darn close to 175. Right along that same path. Yeah, we're north of 175 now.
It's north of 175 right now. We're looking at that rotation. The gate-to-gate is there, and it's a very broad area of rotation. Nothing confirmed out of this one yet, but as we do pan a little further to the north there, we are going to talk about the one that has been observed, and that's, again, just around the Jackson area. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here real quick so we can see exactly what we're talking about.
Kevin Ramirez is at 175 near Eustis, and he said he had a tornado on his stream just a little bit ago. So
is that with the old one or the current rotation?
I think it's the current rotation. It's probably just past north of him, just getting north of him right now, it looks like.
All right, well, actually, we just got from the National Weather Service in Fort Worth. Tornado still on the ground southeast of Eustis, just crossed half a mile southeast of Eustis, moving to the northeast, and again, about 30 miles an hour.
It's an impressive-looking rotational couplet there.
We have a new tornado emergency for Henderson County with that tornado on the ground being observed just around the Eustis area, half a mile to the southeast of Eustis. And we're continuing to monitor this tornado on the ground just east of Jackson. If you're in Jackson, you better be inside your shelter or your safe room right now. It's about to cross 198 in the next couple of minutes. And we're looking at what looks to be like the latest scan. It shows it backtracking just a little bit. That could be from one of the other radar sites as well.
Yeah, it could be. The Weather Service has just gone with a new severe thunderstorm warning also, but for Henderson County until 7 o'clock, but this will supersede that, obviously, for 65-mile-an-hour winds and 3/4-inch hail, Henderson and Van Zandt County till 7 o'clock. So,
and we do have the lights flickering here at the station. Not sure if we're about to lose power or not. Hopefully that's not the case.
Yeah, I'm going to pull this off and let's get back out to this Eustis storm real fast, Alberto. Yeah, this thing looks more impressive now on the just on the base velocity, general velocity scan here, Alberto. If you see what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Notice that tail and that little rotation there south of Caney City. So Malakoff, 31. You're going north. This storm's moving northeast at about 30 miles an hour. So it's going to continue to be a problem for folks there near Log Cabin and in those areas back further downstream. My spotter, Kevin Ramirez, says the storm is really the tornado is hard to make out on their stream, which tells me that they've got a lot of water in the atmosphere there, rain wrapped.
So let's just stick with the straight velocity product right now, and since the radar is kind of hard to depict exactly what's going on, but we do have a tornado on the ground right now, just east of Eustis, pushing to the northeast, 30 miles an hour, and it's about to cross over into southern Van Zandt County, taking the direct, actually a very similar path to the previous 2 tornado-warned storms. And
almost identical.
Was that?
Almost identical.
Almost identical, yes. Same exact area, same exact trajectory, and the speed and everything. So we're looking at what looks to be about a surface low developing across just ahead of that cold front that's supposed to be coming through later tonight. But we're looking at that rotation. This one has been confirmed from your friend there, Kevin Ramirez, correct?
Yes, 175 is what he was saying. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I was trying to
No
multitask.
No, you're good. 175, yeah, just east of Eustis right now. It should be, we should be seeing this warning probably
Coming
get
out
extended
shortly. Yeah.
as far as timing goes, and also be expanded further north because it's going to be crossing into Van Zandt County here momentarily. That Van Zandt warning that's highlighted right now is for the storm that's actually the tornado that's by Jackson currently, and that's going to be sticking around for another 15 or 16 minutes. But with what we're seeing in the velocity products, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that get expanded as well to about 6:45 or so.
They're sounding the sirens in Canton now, Alberto.
Okay.
Just FYI, outdoor warning sirens being sounded in Canton. Continues moving north.
With reason.
Yeah, I would be shocked if they weren't sounding them, or if they hadn't already sounded them once. Reports of reports of a tornado having crossed 175 near Eustis, half a mile south of the first one. Very intense circulation. That was about 8 minutes ago. That lines up with what Kevin was saying down there in that Henderson County storm. So there's a lot of balls in the air right now, and we continue to try to pay attention to both of them. This circulation here looks, at least right now, looks like the most impressive one.
And if you're at home watching this right now, this is what I don't want you to do. I don't want you to go outside and try to snap a picture, because if there is a tornado on the ground still, it's going to be rain wrapped. It's going to be difficult to see. It's difficult to see to the trained eye, much more difficult for the ones that don't know what they're looking for, or the signatures that we look for when it comes to observing tornadoes on the ground in person. But this is tracking across 198 right now, just north or just east and northeast of Jackson proper.
Not really any towns there between Jackson and Canton. 3227 runs right into 198 there on the southwest side of Canton. So here's Wallace, here's 243 right here. So basically, I mean, there's a couple of minutes of delay on these images as we get them anyway. So, you know.
So right now we just got the latest scan, and that has already crossed over 198. So if you're anywhere from Canton, Highway 19, out west towards Wallace along 243, hey, now's the time to go ahead to that safe room, that storm shelter if you have one, and hunker down for the next about half hour, 45 minutes or so as this tracks through your area. It is pushing to the north at about 30 miles an hour, so it's going to be moving rather rapidly. And we still have tornado number 2 still on the ground out here, crossing over from the Henderson, Van Zandt County line currently. And the rotation not as strong as it was a few minutes ago, but it's still enough to where it warrants the tornado warning and the tornado concerns, and that one has been observed and confirmed on the ground as well. Not sure if it's still on the ground currently, but you don't want to take that chance. We don't want to take that chance. You do want to see shelter if you are in the path of the storm as it continues pushing off to the north.
And we know that it was on the ground earlier when it crossed 175 near Eustis. You're watching KYTX Tyler Longviews. We get the legal stuff at 6:02. I'm Doc Deese and Alberto Romero. CBS 19 news team is en route to the western counties of East Texas. They're already there, actually. Tornado debris signature noted on the radar southwest of Canton. Residents in Canton, you need to take immediate tornado precautions as this thing continues coming up right up 198. So if you're on the southwest side of Canton, along 198, or anywhere in the city of Canton for that matter, this thing seems to be hugging that corridor. So we've got a tornado debris signature there. Notice, as Alberto's been reiterating, the inbound and the outbound pixels there, indicating winds blowing in towards the radar side in Fort Worth and away towards the radar side.
And we have the legend up here for the inbound and outbound winds, and you can see that the hotter or the brighter the colors get, the stronger the winds are. And we start seeing these light pink and these hot pink colors, which are like at the very extremes of this legend out here. That tells you we got some really strong winds going on, and when you have them butted up like that, next to each other, pixel to pixel, we've got some strong rotation and shear going on. That's that tornado that we're talking about, just west of 198, making its way to 243, should be there at any moment now. So again, anywhere from Canton, Highway 19 to Wallace. If you're listening to us right now, seek shelter immediately as this rotation and tornado debris, the tornado with a tornado debris signature continues to track to the north right now, north and northeast at about 25, 30 miles an hour. That tornado warning continues in effect till 6:15. That's 12 minutes away. I guarantee you the National Weather Service will go ahead and expand that. We'll get word from them momentarily.
Yeah, they will, and they're juggling. Imagine what we're juggling. They've got tons more that they're trying to handle in corresponding with emergency management folks and the the media community as well as the law enforcement community. It's pretty obvious. Here are our two areas of concern. We've got this situation coming into the southern sections of Van Zandt County. We got this secondary circulation right here near Canton. Both of them are moving northeast. And just the last 45 minutes, you can make those out pretty clearly. They don't get much clearer than that in East Texas, I'll tell you that.
They're taking similar paths as well, so whatever debris we have from the first tornado, it's going to be easily knocked around by the second tornado. And not just that, but also we're at such a distance from the actual radar site in South Fort Worth that by the time we get here, it gets muddy and it gets hard to really pinpoint exactly where that rotation is. That we have a general idea, and the storm spotters on the ground are helping us out with that by giving us locations. But you do not want to be caught outside, as most of this activity will be rain wrapped, as we have heavy downpours accompanying this area of rotation. Yeah,
it's going to be hard to see, and I know that from having had interactions here with trained spotters who've been doing this for a long time, and they've said, man, that thing is hard. It was hard to pick out when it crossed 175.
It's hard for the trained eye, so you just imagine someone who doesn't know what they're looking for exactly. It'll be that much more difficult for them. And didn't we have one more tornado warning for Hopkins County? What's the latest on that?
Yeah, let's check that one here, Alberto. I'm glad you said that. That was going to be west of Sulphur Springs.
Looks like that one's been canceled or expired.
It's been kind of petering out a little bit.
Let's get
back and just kind of put that into motion there. And our apologies to folks in Hopkins County. That thing has looks like they've canceled that warning for Hopkins County. It's not showing up. So the main show continues to be here in the Van Zandt County area. Near Canton right now as warnings come out, and we continue to monitor that situation. Trying to do a little multitasking here as well. If you are on the southwest side of Canton, let's get back to this velocity. Southwest side of Canton, 198.
Looks like west of town now.
Yeah, west of town. The rotation doesn't look quite as it didn't look quite as strong as it did earlier on. There's something cooking up here too, Alberto. There's at least some wind potentially up closer to I-20, but I don't think the storm's gotten that far north yet. I
don't think so. I think the bulk of the rotation is right at or just north of 243 right now, as that continues pushing off to the north towards Highway 64. But again, the signature is not as impressive as Doc just mentioned, as we have been seeing the last couple minutes and last couple of scans. But that also could be because of how far we are from the radar site. And Doc, if you zoom out real quick and give me a radar shot.
Sure enough, we'll
I think I know why we're not getting just as strong signatures, because if you look directly to the west, because the radar site we're using right now is right here, south of Fort Worth. That's the radar site that we're using. And we do have some thunderstorms that are directly west of that in Kaufman County right now. And Monica, if you're watching, it's a severe thunderstorm warning for you. Kaufman County, we do have a severe thunderstorm out there, and that could be blocking and making it difficult for the radar to actually read what exactly is going on in Van Zandt County now.
Good point. Well said. And here's just the last 45 minutes worth of data too. Let's not forget about the storms that are cooking over Rusk County right now. Nothing severe. No warnings out for any of our counties except the tornado warning, which is in place for Van Zandt County and the Henderson County area as well, under severe thunderstorm warning, I think. Tornado circulation near Canton appears to be on the west side of the city. According to the Weather Service, circulation approaching I-20. Now, TDS not nearly as evident as before. So they're seeing the same thing that we're seeing, Alberto. It looks a little bit muddier than it did here just a couple scans. Let me turn this back to completely still. I bet you it's right in here, Alberto. Right in here.
Right there where you see the rain kind of getting wrapped around that.
I bet
that's where that rotation is going to be at right there, just east of Wallace. Wallace, you definitely want to be seeking shelter right now. And radar is indicated to be just further to the northeast from what we're seeing on the actual reflectivity.
That's interesting.
But yeah, it's definitely interesting. And again, this is the muddy part right now. We have the latest scan that just came through. It looks like it's crossing over Highway 64 right now, making its way towards Interstate 20, west of Highway 19, northwest of the city of Canton. And Doc, real quick, I know you just zoomed in. If you can zoom out just a little bit.
Stand by.
Just a hair, and drop the velocity real quick.
Will do.
I do want to indicate that this is just the beginning, folks. It's going to be a long night because, and if you can zoom out a little further more, I want to be able to see Dallas real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And put this to loop for the last 45 minutes. Is that what you had it at?
There we go. Yeah, there you are.
All right. if you see here, and we're starting to see, that's the actual cold front right here, ladies and gentlemen. That right there from Denton County down towards northwestern parts of Dallas County. That's the actual cold front. That's what we're expecting for the showers and thunderstorms to blossom and fire up in the form of a squall line. And that's what's going to bring our straight line damaging wind as it progresses from west to east throughout the remainder of the evening out here. We're looking, so this is just a supercellular stuff that we're seeing ahead of that storm. Unfortunately, this is going to be a long night for us.
Those are the ones that we always talk about. When we talk about tornado events, usually we're not dealing with the big ones that are along a squall line or a line of thunderstorms. Usually we're worried about the ones that can get themselves going out ahead of the squall line, which is what we are seeing right now. It was amazing to watch these things come up. Just in the last, within about an hour, you had warnings coming out. And notice the development also, too, now back along the western sections of Smith County, along the Smith-Van Zandt County line, the Henderson County line, and some additional storms trying to get going back north of Cayuga. Crossroads there, the Van Zandt, or rather the Henderson and Anderson County line, so out 287 northwest of Palestine. That's additional stuff trying to get itself going, so we want to pay mindful attention to that, because in the environment that we are in right now, anything that can go up is going to have the potential to spin, and they are definitely spinning pretty heartily there in the Van Zandt County. Let's look back on this. Let's get back to current mode and see what is going on in the storms there near Malakoff real fast. Nothing really terribly impressive in that, so I like to see that. And as we go further up north, the main concern, Henderson County, you're okay for now. The main concern going to be, and we're going to pretty much contain that into Van Zandt County with tornadic circulation there, potentially near Canton, probably getting north. I think it's probably northwest of Canton, Alberta, right here. It looks like there may be, I'm inferring, but maybe right there just northwest side of Canton. Another circulation, Kaufman County, near the city of Elmo on US 80. No tornado, but the storm is being watched carefully, and that's going to move towards the west side of Lake Tawakoni. So that could be a player for some more of our northwestern counties here over the next hour or so. Continue to take your tornado precautions if you're near Canton or northwest of Canton. As we continue to watch this storm, which has had a history of producing a tornado, continues moving northeast at about 25 to 35 miles an hour. And this is passing again well to the west of Van, Grant Saline. I keep my eyes open off to your southwest, but it's probably going to pass west of you, and that'll leave the folks further downstream along Highway 80. There's Edgewood and Fruitvale and some of those smaller rural communities of northern Van Zandt County. Highway 19, this thing seems to be, best I could tell, along and just west of Highway 19, crossing 20 and continues scooting off to the north at 25 to 35 miles an hour. Circulation near Canton continues to move away from the city, says the Weather Service. They'll move towards, like we said, Edgewood, Fruitvale. Warning will indeed be extended to the north and will include the remainder of Van Zandt County and Rains County. So prepare yourselves, Rains County. Their Weather Service is about to go ahead and extend that warning, Alberta, and they're going to run that probably closer to 6:30, maybe 6:45. Depending on what they decide to do with that, but it's a good opportunity to talk to folks who are with us on that southwestern or south central sections of Van Zandt County flats. Let's see here. South Van Zandt fire reporting eyes on a tornado at 12:56 and 19, moving north. That was at 6:11.
2 minutes ago. So
yeah.
South Van Zandt fire, you mentioned 1256, Highway 19.
Yeah, so that's, I'm trying to find 1256 here on my map, and it's, maybe they meant 1255, maybe, I don't know. My apologies for not having a handle on that, but we do feel like it's going to be in this general area of Van Zandt County.
Now, here's one thing to note, that this new tornado warning for the remainder of Van Zandt County and Rains County, the verbiage on it is radar indicated. That means that they don't have substantial evidence to call it a confirmed tornado. However, we did see that report come through from the Van Zandt fire reporting eyes on a tornado at FM 1256 and Highway 19 moving to the north, and that was 3 minutes ago. So with that latest information that the National Weather Service just received, I would not be too terribly surprised if they go ahead and bump that up to a tornado observed on the ground.
Yeah.
Due to the latest reflectivity scans that we are or have been seeing, I wouldn't be surprised that that it has weakened a little bit, but it's still very dangerous storm out here.
Yeah.
Did you say that has crossed Interstate 20 already?
Yeah, I think if it's not completely on top of 20, it's north of there now.
And I think the area we're concerned with, the area we're looking at is, as you see the rain shaft and the rain reflectivity, maybe that curve right there, I would say that the area of rotation would be right where that is missing. It's the lack of rain is that, I guess I should say, where it's a little bit lighter as far as reflectivity and return are concerned.
Weak echo region there.
Yeah, that region right there should be just north of Interstate 20, east of Interstate 20 and where Highway 64 is at.
Weather Service says they have a storm spotter that called and said that a tornado was on the ground in Canton. There's no specifics on that, but it may be the outskirts of Canton, maybe along 20 or just north of 20 by now. I'm thinking maybe, Alberto. That's just my supposition on my part, but that is coming from a Weather Service spotter. So that's something that we want to take, especially pay good attention to with the indications from this circulation here. Notice again how things how they seem to kind of wrap up the color contours. Pay attention to that. That's really what we're kind of keying in on. And while we're at it, let's pull in here and see if we have any kind of it's not terribly impressive on the velocity, but if something's on the ground, never mind what the velocity says. If we've got eyes on the ball, then we follow what those eyes are telling us. So, northwest side of Canton is where I want to definitely have folks in their safe spots as we run this thing up Highway 19, Edgewood, Small, Fruitvale. Those areas there, you want to be prepared for this thing to be coming up almost due south, if not a little bit southwest of due south. Weather Service continuing a severe thunderstorm warning for Henderson County and Van Zandt County until 7 o'clock. So that is that's this storm across the far western parts of Van Zandt County out of the side of Gun Barrel City. So that's non-tornadic. Tornado possible in that. They see some rotation, but they don't see anything that is quite as definitive as what they've got getting northwest of Canton now. 1.25 inch hail, though, out of that. Yeah, Canton, you are not out of the woods. Southern circulation continues kind of ramping up roughly around Tundra. Storm path continues to move near Canton again, so we're kind of continue to kind of watch.
Canton's definitely taking a beating today.
Of all weekends to do that, too. Good grief. It's just not what we want to see.
Let's go see and take a look at the velocity and see exactly what the National Weather Service is referring to near the Tundra area. There we go. There it is.
Yeah.
Let's make this a little bit smaller and then get in there. So right now we have another, this will be what, the fourth area of rotation?
Yeah, along Highway
19. Once again, Highway 19, you're under the gun. Canton, you're under the gun as well as this tornado, or not tornado, but tornado warning continues. This one I don't believe has been confirmed yet or observed.
No.
Still radar indicated, but it's tracking straight to the north. Once again, it's going to ride up along Highway 19 right now. If we can zoom in just a hair more so we can pick up a few more identifiers as far as highways and cities. Again, this will be east of Jackson. Look at the Tundra. If you're in Tundra right now, you definitely want to seek shelter immediately. The most interior room in your house, lowest level, away from all windows. And it wouldn't be a bad idea to throw a bike helmet or something on the kids, protect them from flying debris. This is going to be riding north just along Highway 19 straight into Canton. So if you're in Canton, you once again for the third or fourth time today want to seek shelter for a possible tornado making direct impact in your town. This is going to be riding that area of rotation just over the highway right there. Just
center this up for you, Alberto.
I appreciate that, Doc.
There you go. So, I mean, it really is showing itself nicely there, just east of Tundra. Right? I mean, couldn't be more on Highway 19.
It's right on that highway. You definitely don't want to try to outrun this, make yourself into what you think would be a sturdy building, because it's going to catch up with you. There's no point in trying to play chicken with the tornado will win. I guarantee that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to continue to urge extreme caution along Highway 19 south of Canton, south side, outskirts of Canton, frankly. I mean, it's 64 coming into Canton out of the southeast, 198 coming into Canton out of the southwest. This is almost smack halfway between both of those along Highway 19. So if you're in the southern sections of the city of Canton or on the outskirts, just south side of town, be in your safe spot, please, immediately. Confirmed tornado now south of Canton was reported south of Canton near Highway 19 in 1256, and that's moving north, Alberto. That's brand new from the Weather Service. So they do have a storm now here. 1256 there, just that was near Falba, probably when that was out east of Falba. 1256 and 19 converge there. Southeast of Tundra. So this is the same thing that was being reported, or that the spotter has seen and reported, and this is what it looks like on the radar when you got that kind of thing cooking.
All right, yeah, so this will be another tornado emergency in effect right now for Van Zandt County, especially for the towns of Tundra and Canton as this storm pushes right along Highway 19, pushing from south to north about 25, 30 miles an hour. This will be in Canton in a matter of minutes, and it is a confirmed tornado on the ground currently. The gate-to-gate shear, we got the latest scan, Doc. We can go ahead and shift that just a little bit. Latest scan pushes it just east of the highway there. Looks to be heading towards the southeastern parts of town. That's one of the areas that has not been impacted as much here in the past couple storms. It's been out towards
kind of
southwestern parts of town with the last storm. The first storm, I do believe, hit across southeastern parts of Canton, but this one's heading right towards southeast Canton once again, and it's a bad day for it, as we have, or a bad weekend in general, as we have the first Monday trade days going on in Canton currently right now, and this is just east of 19. We have some strong winds going on here. These winds are indicating anywhere from 120 to 130, even the 135 mile per hour winds, and the reds and the pinks are going away from the radar. The blue and the green colors are going towards the radar, and we have those pixels touching each other right next to each other. So that's that gate-to-gate shear that we talk about. That's where the center of rotation is at right there, east of 19, and we got some strong winds associated with it. I would not be totally surprised, Doc, if in the next couple of seconds to minutes we start hearing from the National Weather Service about a tornado debris signature being picked up on radar with this exact area of rotation. And it's moving rather rapidly. We have a new scan, once again, pushing it further off to the north. If you're in Canton right now, especially the south and southeastern parts of town, you want to seek shelter immediately.
Yeah, we're sending new notification out for that as we speak. The Weather Service continued. Yeah, TDS still there as well. Confirmed tornado south of Canton. So they have a debris signature now that they are seeing on the Weather Service radar south of Canton. This will be getting just to the east. Let's pull this off here and bring it back in a little bit further to the north. So we've got this this area of significant rotation. And a tornado having been produced there just on the southeast side of the city of Canton. Highway 19, if you're between 19 and Highway 64 on the southeast side of Canton, need to be in that sturdy, safe shelter spot immediately. I did push that a while ago, so that's good.
My apologies, my apologies.
No, you're good. Let's see here. I'm trying to look at a picture that I just got, and that looks like if you have any pictures that you want to share with us, we would greatly appreciate that. My handle on Twitter is at Doc Deason or A Romero Weather.
A Romero _ WX.
Yeah, or you can just find us on Twitter, KYTX Weather, and also KYTX Weather on Facebook. And feel free to send us any pictures if you want to email those. weather@cbs19.tv. That's weather@cbs19.tv. And we'll be able to send that and pass that stuff along, shoveling that into the production room. Folks there are handling things at a rapid pace right now as we continue to monitor this situation.
All right, we got the latest scan just now, Doc. It continues pushing to the southeastern parts of Canton here. We're looking at a tornado emergency, observed tornado on the ground in between Highway 19 and 64, currently pushing to the north at about 30 miles an hour. So if you're in Canton, you want to hunker down right now. You go to your safe room. As this tornado continues pushing off to the north, it's going to make its way. Rains County actually continues to be in that tornado warning as well until 7 o'clock p.m. And it continues to take the same track that we saw with the first tornado warning earlier today across southeastern parts of town. Then we saw the west side of town get hit not too long ago with the second storm. And then we've had 3 or 4 pushing through. And Eustis, you've also been in the mix. You've had observed tornadoes about a half mile and a mile away from you. So you had 2 observed tornadoes, or confirmed tornadoes, for the town of Eustis as it made its way across 198 or 175, I should say. And that's the same storm, the same area of rotation that has pushed into Van Zant County and have basically went through Highway 19 and it continues to push up north at a good click out here. And we're looking at that gate-to-gate shear ongoing between Highway 19 and 64. So if you're on the southeastern part of town in Canton and anywhere between Canton and Wentworth, you definitely want to seek shelter right now as the storm in the area of rotation and tornado continues making its way to the north out here.
Absolutely, Albert. I'm sorry, I was just trying to check this stuff coming back on our 6 just to make sure there wasn't something coming back at us. So this looks to be the main storm of concern right now, brother. And as we have what continues to be an impressive-looking rotation right there. Spotters, let me see. That's hard. That's impressive. If we have seen,
we're getting reports that there's a mile-wide tornado getting ready to cross Interstate 20 right now. Not sure. That came through about a minute ago. And looking at the rotation here for the Canton one.
Yeah, with that delay in the radar, that
delay in the radar,
well
it could be
near Wentworth. If it's going to be there, it'll probably be cooking near Wentworth shortly. East southeast side of Canton. If it's crossing I-20, then it's going to be on the east side of Canton.
Doc, let's go ahead and pull up a ruler out there and go west to east 1 mile so we can see what area we're really what we're looking at.
Yeah, so we're a couple of miles from the city of Canton proper, where that's at southeast side of Canton.
And the report's saying that it's about to cross Interstate 20.
Yeah, so go ahead and take that there.
Here's what I'm thinking right here. If we go from Highway 19 and go about a mile wide, that's what we're looking at. It's a pretty broad area of rotation, pretty broad, significant tornado, especially if it's 1 mile wide, as what we're seeing in the storm reports coming through. That's going to be a very dangerous situation. And by now, I think that the delay has a little further south. I think right now between Canton and Wentworth, making its way across Interstate 20 is what we're really concerned with right now, as that mile-wide tornado. Again, tornado emergency, as it is actually observed and on the ground currently pushing to the north. So if you're just north of Interstate 20, you want to seek shelter right now, and anywhere along Highway 19 as that tornado continues to track your direction.
Yeah, the sheriff's department and the emergency management folks will be they'll be assessing that, and we'll be able to get some additional confirmation on this. So we don't want to over-alarm, but we do want to pass along what seems to be some credible information to us, and that's if it's able to get into our room, then that adds a lot of validity to the reports that we're going to be able to pass along to you. But again, the danger right now, east side, east, southeast, or due east of Canton right now. We're not so much southeast of Canton as we are getting more due east of Canton. Tornado warning till 7 o'clock continues for rains in Van Zant County. And this is an observed tornado. Damage threat on this is considerable. So that's the verbiage that the Weather Service puts out in these warnings is there for a reason, and they're not playing around with that. That was from 545. There, talking to Ashley in Alberta. That's from the Eustis area from 545. So Ashley is putting together some a graphic for us of at least one tornado that had come down from earlier on that came across to my text messaging system here. Getting reports of some injuries potentially reported in the Unconfirmed 40 people injured in a building in Van Zandt County. Also confirmed home destroyed, potentially some damage in the Eustis area. So all of those things are plausible. So as they come into the newsroom, they have been working through those and trying to validate those. I wouldn't be surprised by any of them. They make total sense to me.
That makes total sense, and that's the unfortunate news that we do not want to hear, is that folks have possibly been injured with this storm. We're going to continue to track this as it makes its way. It should be over I-20 right now, probably west of Wentworth. So it's a mile-wide tornado observed on the ground roughly. When we are getting some pictures of that tornado from Eustis earlier today as it crossed 175, and we should be getting those pictures up momentarily.
Ashley's working on that as we speak.
And once again, you're watching KYTX CBS19, Tyler Longview, Nacogdoches Lufkin. We got meteorologist Doc Deason, meteorologist Ashley Kramlich, and myself, meteorologist Alberto Romero. And we apologize, we're cutting into PGA Tour, but again, this is a tornado emergency, as tornado has been observed on the ground multiple times.
Multiple tornadoes.
Multiple tornadoes have been observed on the ground, and they've taken very similar tracks and paths as they made their way towards the Van Zandt area, or actually Van Zandt County into the Canton area. And especially on a day like today, like you mentioned, Doc, today's the first Monday trade days out there. Definitely not a good situation, and a lot of people congregate towards Canton.
And a year ago on this date, we had the Lindale tornado that went on the ground for, I think it was like 20, 30 miles.
That was that Mother's Day tornado?
No, that was the Van tornado. It was Mother's Day, so that was 2 years ago. The Lindale tornado, I believe, was yesterday. The one that we're in from that took out the sports building there. They sold sporting goods and whatnot on the south side of Lindale. Tracked all the way up to Hawkins and did some significant damage at the Ozarka plant there in Hawkins. So that's a year ago today. Just really a hot time for storms here. And this storm continues to look impressive. The velocities on it are still looking strong, albeit not as strong as they did a couple of scans ago. But regardless, with the kind of reports that we have coming in, the pictures and the reports will really supersede the radar data on a day like today, when you've got folks who are able to put eyes on this thing. We did have reports of power flashes noted on video near Canton as this thing crossed I-20 and Highway, I'm assuming they meant Highway 17 there, the 17 interchange that goes northeast out of Canton. That was noted by the Weather Service here just a few minutes ago, as this thing now looks to be probably just north of Canton, northeast of Canton. Folks, Wentworth area and those other smaller communities which are going to be on the northeast side, out Highway 17, out 1255. If you're on 1652 there, that runs between 1255 and 17, be in a place to shelter immediately.
A spotter just called this a violent tornado. Let me get my mic on here. Spotter just called this a violent tornado heading northwest towards Wentworth, Texas.
There's Wentworth right there.
The tornado continues, actually, from the National Weather Service that just came through.
Cycling back up again.
Cycling back up, yeah. The National Weather Service just came through saying that tornado continues in near Canton. The tornado is moving north and continues to move towards Fruitvale in the northern part of the county out here. And we continue to see what's going on with this storm, that as the rotation remains relatively strong out here. Doc, I'm going to go ahead and turn off my microphone 1 second. I want you to take a look at the monitor. I'm going to punch up that picture we have there.
Absolutely, yeah. Continue with the tornado emergency for folks in the Van Zandt County area. Northeast of Canton, I-20, along either side of I-20, east of Highway 19, if you're in the Wentworth area. We want you to be in your place of shelter, please, as we've had multiple reports of a tornado having passed across the I-20 corridor. The picture you're seeing now on the screen was sent to us by my buddy Ross Hayes, who's a meteorologist at the Balloon Research Center in Palestine. He had that picture sent to him about 5:45 as the storm crossed over there near Eustis, and that's one of the things that we've been seeing, and the kind of the video, the visual confirmation, so to speak, of what we're watching here on the radar right now. But definitive tornado there, and a large one too, Alberto. I mean, that's no rope.
That's no rope. Yeah, that's definitely a wedge. And we're looking at that's the same storm that's actually pushing up into the Canton area. So we can go ahead and switch over to Max 1. Thank you very much. We've got our whole team here is taking care of things. We have reporters out getting ready to survey the storm damage, and we're looking at the latest scan come through for the velocity products here, and
that's impressive
we're off
looking.
the charts, folks. We are off the charts. This is some strong, dangerous, violent tornado on the ground just northwest of Wentworth as it continues tracking to the north. That will be crossing into Rains County probably the next 15 minutes or so, if not sooner, as it's moving to the north at about 30 miles an hour, which is why we do have that tornado warning, that tornado emergency warning in effect for Rains and Van Zandt County until 7 o'clock p.m. And unfortunately, we do have some reports from law enforcement that we do have possibly some injured folks, anywhere about 30 to 40 injured folks in a building that looks to be hit by this tornado.
East of Highway 19 still, Alberto, let's talk to folks who are going to be downstream from this, Lawrence Springs.
Lawrence Springs, Fruitvale, you definitely want to start seeking shelter right now as it makes its way towards Highway 80 and even Grand Saline. If you're in Grand Saline, I wouldn't take a chance because what's been happening with these storms is they'll pulse up and down, and the area of rotation will kind of shift a little bit. So if it does die down a little bit, we don't know exactly where it's going to pulse back up again. So anywhere from Grand Saline and Lawrence Springs out towards Fruitvale, and I would even chance at Edgewood. If you're in Edgewood right now, you definitely want to start seeking shelter as this confirmed tornado continues pushing to the northeast of Highway 19. It should be hitting Highway 80 probably in the next 5 to 7 minutes.
I'd say about 120 mile an hour gate-to-gate shear right here on this thing, Alberto. That's just what I'm looking at, just to give you an idea as to what I'm seeing on the off-camera products on the high-res velocity. All
right, the high-res velocity is mentioned, the gate-to-gate shear. That's the inbound and outbound winds we've been talking about. When those strong winds, those are 1 pixel away from each other, touching each other, that's that gate-to-gate shear, and that's what we refer to as the area of rotation where that funnel is going to be located at, and that's going to continue tracking east of 19. Let's look at velocity. We're looking at the gate-to-gate shear, 128 miles per hour. That's some strong winds, folks. Even if you're not exactly near that tornado, you're still going to have some really strong winds surrounding you in that area. So the possibility of flying debris is great, which is why we tell you when you seek shelter, it wouldn't be the worst idea to possibly put a bicycle or a skateboard helmet on the noggins of the kiddos out there to protect them from any flying debris.
Weather Service here, Alberto, large tornado with, they're referring to now a debris ball noted just north of the city of Canton. That's just west of FM 17. We'll cross 1106 shortly, and I'll be moving towards Fruitvale and the Highway 80 area. So that's what we're seeing here. When they're talking about a debris ball, they're really we're just looking at debris, things that have been lofted into the air. A tornado has hit a structure, something that was considerable enough to cause the radar beam to reflect some interesting targets, so to speak. We don't know what those are, but you can assume whether that be a building or some type of, that's probably it right there, Alberto. Probably, something that is not biological and or a target that's not going to be meteorological in nature. So we continue to watch that. And when we speak of these kind of terms, they're not the ones that we talk about very often. But I think that's it, probably right there, Alberto. But I'm not sure. So we continue to try to make. Go ahead, Ashley. What you got?
I don't have a mic on.
It's okay.
Storm chaser reporting a half-mile damaged path, cars overturned, and people are trapped.
Okay, we got some chaser reports of about a half-mile damaged path with some potential for some overturned vehicles and whatnot out of this. I'm not sure on a location for that, but that continues to be more of the same information that we're sadly not surprised to see with the continued returns that this thing has given us on the scope right now. So, and it's starting to pulse back up again too. There, just we're just west of Wentworth, east of 19.
And that came from meteorologists in Dallas, Fort Worth, the CBS station out there. So we're looking to see if we can pinpoint exactly where that came from.
Yeah, that's going to be right in this area here. So if you're watching this Lawrence Springs area, we're east of 19. Here's I-20. There's Wentworth. This thing continues shoveling to the north, and downstream of there, Fruitvale, folks, in that Highway 80 corridor, Alberto, of northern Van Zandt County. We want to give you plenty or as much warning as we can on this thing. So if you want to, brother, can kind of bring that up. Here's Fruitvale, Edgewood. You're going to probably be okay. This thing will be passing to the east of you. But there's 80, runs back to Grand Saline. We've had reports earlier of what could have been some tornado video coming out of Grand Saline. That is something we'll be watching. But the immediate concern continues to be in that Lawrence Springs area of extreme, or actually central sections beginning in more north-central parts of Van Zandt County. So Highway 80, if you're there, Grand Saline, along 80, especially west of Grand Saline, you want to be in that safe spot immediately.
Doc,
Yes, sir.
go ahead and point towards the Rains County line, please.
Yeah, that'll be right.
Okay, we're
up
getting
here.
reports from fire units and sheriff deputies out in Rains County where there is no wind, no rain, but there is debris falling from the sky in the form of leaves and small limbs.
Yeah, I would believe that with this thing arching this stuff up into the air. And as it gets further downstream of the storm and the winds are not able to sustain that debris, it will begin to fall down and to be able to hit the ground there. So did they say where on the Rains County line, Alberto, or did they just, it was just kind of vague on that?
Negative.
Okay. Okay. So that continues to kind of verify everything we've heard. We had reports of about a mile-wide tornado earlier on along I-20 near Canton. And if that was the case, that would be definitely strong enough to loft some stuff up that far to the north and then finally be able to get that stuff down to the ground. Lawrence Springs, again, a lot of rural sections of Van Zandt County here. The big markers, 19, Highway 80, south of that area. As we continue to watch what is an impressive-looking signature. This thing has ramped up, then it's fallen back down and ramped back up. We got 150 miles an hour of gate-to-gate shear. Basically, winds blowing away from the radar or towards the radar site and away from the radar site in close proximity, and kind of the culmination of those winds helps to give us those kind of terms. It tells us just how strong the winds are in that particular area. So even if you're not near the tornado, or if the tornado doesn't impact you directly, the strong winds will. And so we want to be definitely in that safe spot. Even if you're a good ways to the east of Lawrence Springs, or if you're on the other side of Lawrence Springs, but this area right in here where these pixels are the brightest and most intense, they put the color table together like that for a reason, and that is to allow for things to be as bright and as noteworthy as they can on the radar. So folks in Fruitvale need to be in your safe spot. This thing is moving a little, probably another mile or two north of where the imagery that we have here now is indicating, because the data that we're getting, these images are still 3 to 4 minutes, sometimes 3 to 4, maybe 5 minutes old at times, due to the processing that the Weather Service has to do with the radar data that's coming out of Fort Worth. So again, if you're just joining us, 6:40 right now. We've got a tornado warning effective until 7 o'clock for folks in Van Zandt County. This is now north of is a correlation coefficient here?
Yes, and we have a debris signature. That debris ball right there is what's picking up as far, and that's the debris that's being tossed into Rains County right now. We've seen a pretty
It looks
good
more
signature.
impressive on this last scan, too, that's just coming in as well. So Highway 19, it looks muddy, and on most days, you can't make out heads or tails of any of this stuff. But on a day like today, when you've got these kind of articles that are up in the air, it's pretty plain that something big is cooking right in this particular section. And again, as we talked about, it's throwing the stuff up in the air, keeping it elevated, and then finally, as the updraft is not able to sustain that debris, it falls out, and that's what folks in Rains County are seeing right now along the Rains and Van Zandt County line, as Alberto was seeing that in the chat room here just a minute ago. So put some points of reference in here. Grand Saline, Edgewood, kind of flanking this thing. Main concern just along and just east of Highway 19. If I'm on 80, if you've got anybody on 80, if you're listening to us on the radio right now, you may be listening to us on KMU out of Mineola, you may be listening to us on some of our other radio affiliates. You need to get off of 80 and get either east or get west of Fruitvale, because this thing continues running up at a pretty good clip. It may lose a little bit of steam over the last hour or so. It's lost a little steam and then picked back up, so it just continues to kind of cycle and do that whole song and dance there. So here's Rains County, and Alberto's going to pull in here and show us. Yeah, there it is, right there. Get pretty close in to that Highway 80 corridor, and the winds, I'm sure, will be blowing quite strong there near Fruitvale. If there's not a tornado that runs right through your place or close to your place, the winds and all of the air that's being pulled in around that thing will be plenty strong enough to do some damage to any light objects and houses as well. So we want to be off the roads. If you're with us on the radio right now,
Doc, we're seeing reports from social media that I-20 Chrysler Dodge Jeep near Canton is completely destroyed.
okay, that's I-20 Chrysler Dodge in Canton. So that, again, that sadly that verifies with what we've seen from the spotter network earlier on with what crossed over what was said to have been about a mile-wide tornado. Now, how wide it is now, not sure. Spotters are chasing it, and they will be able to hand us off some additional data here shortly. But Fruitvale, got to be in the safe place now, man. Bathtubs, interior hallways, away from windows, closets make good spots. Kids, we do the school talks all the time. So if you are with us there in Fruitvale, you want to exercise those tornado precautions. If you've got a garage door that you can shut it. Even especially if it's facing south or west, that wind can get in there. And if the garage door, I mean, the garage door may not matter, but just for if you're on the periphery of this thing, that can get in there and lift that roof right off. So if you get that pulled down, please do so. If you are with us on the Rains and Van Zandt County line, need to be in a place of safety. If you are east of 19 and up on that southeastern part of Rains County, we need to have you in that safe spot right now.
All right, Doc, we have the National Weather Service in Fort Worth is saying that the tornado is definitely heading towards the Fruitvale area.
Yeah.
And also the emergency management out of Rains County is saying that the debris that was falling well ahead of this tornado was falling around the Rains County Road 4430 and FM 514, and also US 69 and FM 779.
Okay.
So at Fruitvale, you definitely want to seek shelter immediately.
Yeah, and you've got Fruitvale and not a ton of other really communities out there in that piece of Van Zandt County. So, you know, Fruitvale is kind of our bullseye on this thing. But if you're on the east side of Fruitvale or even the west side of Fruitvale, you need to be in that continued safe position there. 19, it looks like it's maybe cycling back up a little bit, Alberto. I took my eyes off it for just a second. It looks like we got a new scan that came in. But this thing is, if not right on top of Fruitvale, going to be moving to the north side of Fruitvale here shortly. So northeast moving on this thing, about 20 to 25 miles an hour. So it's continuing to make that forward progress to the north. And once it gets north of Fruitvale, you're looking at a lot of rural open country there, northwest of Grand Saline, and north of Fruitvale as you approach the Sabine River, which really kind of marks the line between the Van Zandt and the Rains County.
And that's the good news, but as we have mentioned, unfortunately, we have reports of a lot of destruction and devastation going on around the Canton area, and also reports of folks that have been injured. That's very unfortunate. It looks to be riding up just east of Highway 19. It should be crossing the Sabine River into Rains County here probably in the next 5 to 10 minutes. And again, the radar imagery is going to be a few minutes late as we get that data coming through our computer systems, but it should be north of Fruitvale by now. The signatures are definitely there. The rotation is there. The confirmed tornado, it continues for parts of northern Van Zandt County, and that warning until 7 o'clock expires in 14 minutes. I would not be surprised to go see that expanded a little further in the time in the night. And here's the latest scan. Let's go ahead and move that for you.
Yeah, it looks a little bit. Do we have any CC data or anything else that would be helpful on that, Alberto? When you get a second, I know you're hopping over there. Ashley, if you see anything as well,
I'll go ahead and pull it up.
Please let us
data
know
for you. Here's the velocities now.
That's a pretty impressive looking something going on in the west of Canton as well.
Right.
Let's focus on this one here. The bigger threat is obviously verified out here.
Correct. This is the one that we've been tracking. Right. You just mentioned, and as we just had a tighter look, we are seeing 2 more areas of concern. Nothing yet as far as tornado warnings are concerned, but we are seeing again another strong area of rotation.
That's you got to watch that for sure.
West of Canton, just out to 243, and also out towards what would be Kaufman County.
Yeah.
Southeastern parts of Kaufman County. Again, south to 243. We're going to monitor those areas as well. Haven't heard anything from the National Weather Service about that, but just for precautions, not really much as far as very rural areas, but west of Wallace,
Jackson.
West of Wallace, west of Jackson, just northwest of Winton there. And then for this area right here, again, nothing, no gate to gate quite yet, but some strong winds.
Man,
so
it's strong looking. There's definitely something. And in an environment like this today, if you've got something that looks like it has the potential to spin up, then just assume it is. I mean, because these storms have showed no mercy, and they've shown a tendency. And you could see it when they first started cranking up back around 3, 4 o'clock. Yeah,
there's your correlation coefficient.
There we go. Getting further to the north of Fruitvale now. So if there's debris, quite possibly we'd be dealing with it in that particular area. So Ashley, does that look any different to you on the scope products on my Mac? Are you seeing anything that would enhance what we're seeing here at all?
It looks like this latest scan of the correlation coefficient looks a little less than what we saw before.
Okay. That's good. This is obviously the area that we're watching here, and we need to really start talking to folks in Emory. If you're south of Emory on Highway 19, I need you in that safe spot right now. That's a nice little bit of rotation there that Alberto is pointing out. Just on the regular, good old radar that we utilize on most of our phones. And then when we're able to kind of tap into that, remember where that was, and then when Alberto puts the in-storm piece on that, it also verifies out nicely.
But I want you to point out that rotation and the reflectivity once again.
I hear you in the booth, yes.
And then once I throw in this velocity product over it, I want you to see how it's a little bit behind. So the velocity product always comes in a few minutes later. Mm-hmm. So that's why we use multiple angles, and the angle right now, let's see, tornado in Fruitvale now, that was a minute or so ago from the National Weather Service, crossing US 80 right now.
Yeah.
Continues to move north.
Yeah, that all jives with what we're seeing. So again, Alberto, Ashley, myself, trying to keep tabs on this situation here. If you're listening to us on the radio, we are in wall-to-wall coverage because of a confirmed tornado that has gone through Canton. We've had a tornado that went through Eustis earlier on, and one that's now approaching the highway, along Highway 19, and approaching the Rains and Van Zandt County line, getting north of Fruitvale and continuing to chug north. So folks who are with us in Rains County, be advised, especially if you're right there along the river, along the Rains and Van Zandt County line.
Mr. Deason,
yes, sir. Go ahead, Albert.
We are talking about the National Weather Service. They're going to have a new tornado warning coming out for Van Zandt County, that new circulation just southwest of Canton. We were just talking about that. South of State Highway 243 and FM 47 in the Winton-Wise area. That tornado warning, radar indicated in effect until 7:30 p.m. Let's go ahead and zoom out and go towards that area right now. And here we go.
I can hear somebody on the IFB. I'm not sure, but
that's
okay.
I think they're calling for Allen.
Okay, yeah, there it is. 243. Not as impressive as the one we had earlier on, but definitely enough to keep the guys on the radar looking pretty deep. Again, here's Wallace. Here's Canton. 243 goes due west out of Canton, and this area of rotation along. And let's just go ahead and say it's right along 243, given the delay that we'll have with the radar from the time the beam actually hits it until it gets processed and disseminated out. So we've got that, and that looks pretty impressive to me, Alberto. Both of these things are sticking out nicely, and there's something going on right here too, just along 80 east of Wills Point. Maybe it's the monitor that I'm looking at, but it does look like something near. Is that near? Yeah, that's near.
No, we're not looking at some gate to gate there. The gate to gate, really the strong one, continues.
Yeah, right here.
Right there, just east of Highway 19. Should be making its way over Rains County and Sabine River here rather shortly.
Is that even outside the polygon, I guess?
No, that's so what you're seeing there is the polygon for the new tornado warning.
Okay,
sir.
Gotcha. Sorry. Yeah, I see it now. My apologies.
No, you're good. The highlighted one with the white rings around it, that's the warning for northern Van Zandt, southern Rains County there.
Yeah, okay. But this guy right here along 80, we need to be paying attention to, and maybe even something a little further back northwest as well. This thing continues to show, looks like a little bit better, a little tighter couplet in there on the last scan, which continues coming in. Again, Highway 19, Emory is just right up here underneath the little banner where the 7 o'clock timestamp is at. There's Emory right there.
Rains County Emergency Management, Doc, reports direct touchdown in the city of Fruitvale.
Okay.
Also, the fire department there is reporting plywood falling from the sky at Farmers Market 779 and US 69.
Okay, so that's over into Rains County then. So this thing is shoveling stuff all the way over to 69, he said? Is that what you said?
That's correct.
Okay, all right. Now 69 runs, that's a good chunk of real estate, Alberto. How far is that? Can you put a ruler on that for me?
69 won't show, or correction, no, 779 won't show up on
Okay,
here, but we
that's
will
fine.
put a general ruler from where we're seeing that rotation. That's a good, about 8 miles out is what we're seeing the rotation falling, or the debris falling, I apologize.
Yeah, okay.
Anywhere from 7 to 8 miles out is where the debris is falling, just ahead of this.
Yeah,
tornado, sir.
south of Emory, you've got a lot of rural, unincorporated communities out in this section of Rains County. So that's good news and bad news. The bad news is that it's hard. We're not going to have a lot of eyes in that area that can tell us what's going on. The good news is it's going to affect a lower amount of population, so we hope for less impacts to life and general property. But the fact that we've got debris falling out there, and I know we've got a boatload of chasers that are going to be watching that storm, and they're able to provide quite a bit of good data to the Weather Service and have been all afternoon long. So again, if you're along the Rains and Van Zandt County line, here's Highway 19, and this thing continues running just to the east of Highway 19. Here's Alba. This is the Wood-Rains County line here. 69 runs from Golden back up to Alba and then further back over towards Mineola. And then coming right up, Bright Star, Emory, and those more organized communities into Rains County.
Hey, Doc, I just moved the radar enough to go pick up into the Shreveport radar instead of the Fort Worth radar, so we can get a different perspective of this rotation. And it does look to, oh, there, see, I'm right at that border. We're right at that crest where it jumps over from Fort Worth to Shreveport's radar. And we're seeing some pretty good rotation with both radars, so definitely a concerning situation.
Yeah, I'd probably lean on the Fort Worth radar just because they've got a little bit of closer proximity than the Shreveport guys will, but that's just me eyeballing it and guessing it. Here's Alba. 69 goes northwest into Emory. If you're south of Emory along Highway 19, right along the river which divides Rains County and Van Zandt County into place, this is where our greatest area of concern is right now. The returns in there, at least the outbound returns, are not as bright as they were a couple of minutes or so ago, but that doesn't mean we can't let our guard down. And frankly, the storm has been pulsing up and then coming back down and kind of cycling itself for the last, hour and a half, I guess. Alberto, we've been doing this since about 5 o'clock or so.
Doing it, for about an hour and a half, 2 hours or so. And Doc, I do believe Ashley's got some information to pass along here.
Go ahead, Ashley, go.
There's reports that there's, I guess, leaves or debris falling from as far away as Sulphur Springs. So,
okay. Hopkins County?
Yes.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Based off of what we've had so far, I can't say that I'm surprised by that.
That rotation, Doc, along the Rains Van Zandt County line is running into is running into the twilight zone there. It's going away. We're not picking up good signature debris there.
Okay.
We're also losing a little bit of rotation. Still there, the rotation for that one just east of Scott, but that rotation has weakened, but it still remains pretty broad. Something to monitor. Still tornado warned until 7:30 for Van Zandt County.
Yeah.
And that's northwest of Canton, about to cross over Interstate 20. That one is radar indicated, not confirmed or observed. Right now, National Weather Service is recommending the Shreveport radar, Doc.
Yes.
As we're running into the, like I mentioned, the twilight zone there. So I'm going
Yeah.
to get as far east as possible. It's going to be tough.
Yeah, it is.
This
is a really
That's
tough
the best
area.
I can do.
Okay, that's fine, brother, and good job on that. Okay, can we roll on that now? Can you roll that, brother? Or do we need a couple minutes to do that?
And
Talking to some guys in the booth. Apologies for that. Behind the scenes, live TV stuff here as we continue to make it happen for you. Okay. We're trying to get some video up for you here, and I believe from our chief photographer, Ellen Casper, who is out and about. That looks almost like a live shot there, but I'm not sure. They're going to work on that in the booth, I think. The tornado greatest area of concern here, again, is now starting to shift, or has shifted into southern sections of Rains County, and this area particularly, that area along Highway 19, due south of Emory. If you're south of 69, kind of south and west of 69 and just east of Highway 19, that's going to be where we're going to have our greatest concern. The storm itself does not look quite as impressive as it did, say, about 15 to 20 minutes or so ago, but it still has quite a bit of wind with it. And even if the circulation is not there that would produce a tornado, the winds that would be capable of doing some damage are still looking to be there, Alberto. Anything you're seeing right now, brother, while you have a set of eyes on the scope?
We're seeing emergency management saying that the tornado is entering Rains County right now, along Highway 19 and County Road 2330. So 2330 is crossing into Rains County right now. That came from emergency management and passed along from Rains County Fire.
Okay, so it crosses Sabine River, and we're continuing to one of those sites looks a little bit better now than it did a couple of minutes or so ago.
There we go. We're back on the Fort Worth radar.
Okay, that's probably why then. Okay, this is a tough spot. The Weather Service office in Shreveport and Fort Worth share. Well, Shreveport handles Wood County, Rains County is handled by Fort Worth, and so we're on the edge of their radar scopes there. Cody, I don't know if you can get the key wall back up or not. I know you're juggling 100 things in there, but if you can get us back up on the wall, thank you, brother. Okay, here we are. There's our concern. There's 19. This thing's been hugging 19 for an hour?
Yes.
About? Yeah. So, Bright Star, here's Alba. The danger is west of Alba, well west of Alba, but it's coming up on Emory. So folks with us in that section of Rains County, kind of that southeastern quarter of Rains County, need to be in your safe spot now. We've got a couple of tornado warnings which are ongoing. One of them for western parts of Van Zandt County, and then one for Van Zandt and Rains County. Really, Rains County is where the problem is going to be sitting at now. But lowest floor of the building or structure that you're in, you want to be away from windows. Yes. Cody, go ahead, brother, if you have that Grand Saline tornado video from earlier on. So that's what they do this time of year in Texas. And we've been playing up the wind threat here throughout the last couple of days, but we were also, and we will always talk about the potential for what we call rogue storms or discrete cells, anything that can get itself going out ahead of a main line of storms. That's where the problem and where the tornadic conditions can develop at. So that's an impressive video out of Grand Saline.
Latest scan just came in. Looks like it's heading towards 69.
Back up again. It looks like it's
cycling itself once again.
Yeah. So and it may turn to the right too. I mean, we have to watch out for these things that move to the right of that due north-south line. Tornadic storms, if they're going to make a movement off of a straight line, they'll usually make it and turn to the right. So we'll refer to those a lot of times, and that can be an indicator if we don't have a tornado warning out for a storm yet, or we're looking at a radar and you see a storm that's moving in a straight line and all of a sudden it makes a hard right-hand turn. If I'm looking at that on radar and all I've got is just the base reflectivity to look at, that's going to at least tell me that there's some pretty good circulation in that, Alberto. You see anything else from emergency managers or newsroom guys, Alberto?
Nothing as of yet. Latest report is that the tornado is still there in the northern Van Zandt, Rains County, and that came from the National Weather Service. Rains County Emergency Management Coordinator says the volunteer fire department reported the tornado near Highway 13 and 2330, but that's just information that was relayed earlier.
Go ahead, Ashley, you got something?
There's observed damage on Texas Highway 64. There's been a report that there was a fatality in a vehicle that was tossed approximately 200 feet off the road.
Okay. We'll be careful with that, and that would be when the storm was passing, probably just near Canton. 64 runs right out Smith County out through the city of Canton, so that'll be probably on that east side of Canton, and that's we want to be very delicate with that. But that also demonstrates the reasoning behind me telling you if you're on any of these east-west highways and this thing, if you're on 69 now and you're listening to me on the radio, you need to get off and turn back to this. If you're south of Emory, you need to get back and start heading back south. And you need to stay out of this area here because this thing continues to produce a good signature. It looks better on the radar than it did about 2 or 3 scans ago. And if history is any indication, it's probably still producing a tornado. So let's be in our safe spot. Folks in Emory, if you're on the southeast side of Emory especially, out 19, you need to be in that safe location right now and not play around with this, okay? We're looking at what could be significant injuries in the Canton area. We're looking at now, we've heard maybe potentially fatality, a lot of damage. We've had damage and debris that's been tossed from Canton all the way up to the Emory area. So that's what we got right now.
And Doc, we continue with this tornado emergency for Rains and Van Zandt County. Look at that latest scan just came through, Doc, and we're looking at some really high values out here along with this rotation. That gate to gate that we talk about continues pushing off just east of Highway 19, making its way towards 69 right now. I know Ashley's working on a social media picture that we just received of the I-20 dealership that was hit directly by that tornado. We should have that picture coming up momentarily.
Yeah, I see that. She's got it cooking right now, brother. Stand by on that.
No worries, no worries. We want to make sure we can pass along that information. So right now, if you're in Ginger, right now, Ginger just populated on the Highway 69. If you're in Ginger, all the way up towards Emory, you want to seek shelter in the most interior room or hallway, away from any windows. And again, if you have a multiple level building or house, you definitely want to make your way towards the lowest level, and again, the most interior room, as we do have a tornado emergency, a confirmed tornado on the ground that has been tracking on the ground for a long time, riding just along Highway 19, made its way over Canton area, southeastern parts of Canton, over Interstate 20, and now making its way towards the Ginger and Emory area. And this
now
is
about to cross 779, brother. About to cross 779.
About to cross 779 right now, and we're looking, Doc, I know we normally, when we get to gate shear, we're looking at maybe 1 or 2 pixels that are butted up next to each other. Check this out. We have multiple pixels, about 5 or 6 pixels of each direction. We have the winds going inbound and the winds going outbound, and we have 5 pixels. I would not be surprised if this tornado is over a mile wide on the ground right now. But it is an emergency, a tornado emergency. Look at that gate-to-gate shear out of 131 miles per hour. Very dangerous, volatile situation. This is an emergency. Seek shelter immediately as it makes its way towards Highway 69. Ginger, you better not be on the road right now. You definitely want to be making your way towards your storm shelter if you have one. If not, that most interior room that we always talk about. And it would be a bad idea to put a helmet on the kids' heads to protect their heads from flying debris. And anywhere from along 69 from Ginger up to Emory is what we're looking at for the target area of this tornado, which is currently a dangerous tornado on the ground, has caused lots of damage along the Interstate 20 corridor down towards Canton. And from earlier reports, we have received reports of folks that were injured right now. We want to be careful with the fatality reports. We don't want to relay that information, but we do want to say that it is a very dangerous and volatile situation as the velocity products continue to show some really, really strong shear indicators of a strong tornado on the ground.
Alberto, Brett's getting ready. I think we've got Brett out I'm not sure where you are, Brett. It looks like you can hear me. You're shaking your head there, brother. So,
yeah.
Okay, brother. Tell me what you see and where you are, okay? Go ahead.
All right, well, I'm right here off I-20 and Highway 17, and I'll get out of the way and let you see what's going on here right now. I was headed into the storm right as the tornado was was touching the ground, and I'll zoom around here and you can see this building right here in front of me is just almost completely destroyed. There's all the trees down around here. The police have the freeway blocked off, so if you're thinking about getting on the road right now, probably a very bad time to do that. But again, I was here along I-20 and Highway 17, and again, I was headed down the road, and as I was headed down the road, I saw the funnel cloud start to dip below the trees. And so I turned around and headed back this way, and that's when I guess the tornado made its way through this part of the area. And everything around here is completely knocked down. There are fire trucks and ambulances everywhere. But again, I advise you that we have no confirmed, I'm not sure what you're hearing back at the studio, but just visually based on what I saw, there was something on the ground here at this area at I-20 and Highway 17. Obviously, authorities will be here for a while assessing the damage and trying to figure out what happened and rescue the people here who are affected by this tornado.
Thanks, Brett. Appreciate you being there, brother. Be safe and let those folks
Absolutely.
know that we're definitely praying for them. It is 7:08. You're watching KYTX Tyler Longview. We are in continual long-form coverage for a tornado warning and a tornado emergency, which has it's been a heck of a day as we continue to watch these storms get up into the southern section or the central sections of Rains County now. The best velocity couplet looks to be along 69 now, getting east of Emory. But if I'm east of Emory, I still definitely want to be in my safe spot. If I'm in Emory, I want to be in my safe spot. The worst of this looks like. What are we looking at there, Ashley?
Well, Doc, even if the rotation is not right over your area and that tornado's on top of you, we have been receiving reports of debris falling as far as Sulphur Springs.
Yeah.
So even if you're in Emory, you're in Ginger, you may be seeing debris falling in your location. So it's still a dangerous situation across Highway 69, anywhere between Emory and Ginger, sir.
Okay. Please keep those folks in your prayers. Quan, say what again now, buddy? I'm sorry, I missed you. Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah, that's Canton damage. Is this? It doesn't matter if it's live or not. It's. All
right,
live.
guys. Right now, as you can see behind me, let me zoom out just a little bit, just to introduce you to what I'm here at I-20 and Highway 17. This is one of the areas where a potential tornado may have touched down. Now, let me get behind the camera and zoom in for you and let you look at what I'm seeing here. What you'll see are cars that appear to be. See if I can focus a little bit more in. There are vehicles, and it appears to be multiple vehicles and a building just completely demolished. Again, I was just getting on scene when I got on the air here, and I had no idea that there were that many vehicles on the side of the road that were probably on the freeway at the time the storm touched the ground, or the tornado rather.
Okay. I tell you what, brother. Stand by
for. See here.
Stand by for 1 second if you can. We have reports, Alberto, of a possible rain-hidden tornado between Emory and Alba. Amateur radio in Rains County reporting debris and damage from a tornado crossing 69 between Emory and Alba. So we're back on the radar. Alberto, you want to talk that up there? I'm assuming it's probably something in this particular area.
Well, one thing I want to hit on is Brett mentioned he was surprised to see that many vehicles on that highway around the Canton area. And unfortunately, this is a terrible weekend or day for that, because we do have the first Monday trade days ongoing at Canton today. And it's an event that goes on rain or shine, so folks come out there when the weather's sketchy at times. But this is definitely a dangerous situation, as we've had multiple confirmed tornadoes passing just along the Canton area. And as we mentioned earlier, we do have reports of injuries that have taken place in Van Zandt County, and we're still expected to possibly see some more reports of that coming in, trickle in, as we continue seeing the velocity products update. And we're starting to get back into that muddy area of the radar, where we're not going to be picking up a whole lot as far as good data coming through from the radar reflectivities and the velocity products. But this is well north of 69 by now, still east of Highway 19, and just to the east-northeast of the Emory area. And Doc, we did have one more tornado warning earlier for Van Zandt County. How's that going?
The Weather Service has gone ahead and canceled that. The western Van Zandt County warning has been canceled. The circulation, they said, is weakening.
And then check out Kaufman County out towards looking at Van Zandt, even Rains County. We're looking at some really strong gusty winds with a severe thunderstorm warning associated with this, right along just south of Flats and just to the southeast of the West Tawakoni, Lake Tawakoni area, north of Highway 80 and northeast of Wills Point. Some strong winds there. That's probably about close to 60, maybe 70 mile per hour straight line winds associated with that. And then you head a little further south towards the I-20 corridor, and we continue seeing some gusty winds out here. This is probably closer towards 40 or 50 miles per hour, which is not good because we're close to the Canton vicinity, and we're still seeing the broad circulation ongoing for this location.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't take too much more to see, even though this atmosphere has been worked up. And look at that, the latest scan, we're looking at some tighter rotation going on just north of the Canton area and even to the southwest along Highway 198. So this is going to be a long night as the atmosphere is highly unstable. Lots of untapped energy still, surprisingly, because we continue seeing the storms train over where the previous storms have gone, and so we've seen similar tracks, and it hasn't even projected further east into Smith County or Woods County yet, so we can only expect this to be an ongoing long night, and we're still waiting for that squall line to make its way along that cold front from west to east, and we're looking at a very, very highly dangerous and volatile situation unfolding now across eastern parts of North Texas and East Texas. Doc Deason.
Yeah, brother. Let's see here. Big picture overview real fast from the Weather Service. Both the earlier tornado warnings in Van Zandt County have been canceled, but the warning continues for Rains County. So if you're in Van Zandt County, we'll give you the clear here for at least the moment, although I don't want you to lose sight of what looks to be, as Alberto said, some pretty darn strong winds there.
And we're looking at some video here. I'm not sure what this video is about.
My gosh, it's impressive, whatever it is.
This is Canton. Is this live or is this video?
That had to have been video.
This is video. Okay, this is not live, but this is video earlier. What looked to be the wall cloud, I'm thinking here. It looks like we're looking west down I-20 corridor. And there looks to be a wall cloud behind that tree line just to the left there. And you can see that I think you saw some power flashes ongoing. Look at the tree lights there along that exit, or not the tree lights, but the lights itself. Shaking back and forth with the strong gusty winds, and this is why we're telling you, even if that rotation is not smack over your head with that tornado or the funnel cloud, we still have a dangerous situation because the winds are going to be very strong around that. Anywhere from 70 to even 100 mile per hour winds could be associated just a few miles away from that actual tornado.
Yeah, it can, and that continues to be the main concern here. Secondary to the tornado is going to be all the inflow going into these things.
Right.
It's pulling it in from all directions.
And as that video just showed you at the last couple seconds there, heavy torrential downpours, which makes it much more difficult to see those tornadoes because they're going to be rain wrapped, and even a rain wrapped tornado is hard to spot for the trained eye. So if you don't recognize what you're looking for, it's going to be very difficult to see that tornado out there with the rain wrapped conditions. And we're also losing daylight as well. But we have multiple areas in Van Zandt County with some spotty broad rotation currently, but still the heart of the tornado warning is still out towards Rains County until 7:30. 15 minutes left on that, and we're getting into that
really muddy in there.
We're getting into that really muddy part of the.
Let's get back onto regular reflectivity here, just to
let's see what
show you what kind of the what for on all this, and maybe we'll be able to infer some stuff.
Okay, so we're looking at a little bit of rotation going on here in reflectivity. It's kind of hard to tell, and let me turn down my IFB because it's yelling in my ear now. But we have a lot of rotation going on in this area right here, and it's definitely north of 69 by now, just east of Highway 19 is what we're looking at, and it's going to be jumping counties here pretty soon. So we got to hear from the National Weather Service whether or not they're going to continue extending this further north and extending the time frame on this tornado warning, because this is a tornado emergency, as the tornado has been confirmed on the ground with lots of reports of damage and even injuries across parts of East Texas, especially along the Canton area, as we've seen multiple storms roll through there throughout the last several hours.
Probably some 70 to 80 mile an hour winds in here, Alberto. Just looking at the velocity products from my scope here that I'm looking at, just north of Emory. So even if we don't continue, even if we don't have a tornado there, we've definitely got some really stout winds, 60 to 70, maybe 80 mile an hour winds, and as the storm continues to move, at least it's moving in a north-south fashion versus an east-west fashion. The further east it goes, the harder it is for the Fort Worth radar to really make heads or tails. It's on the absolute outskirts of the Shreveport scope, so it makes for a challenge.
Rains County Emergency Management is reporting now that the fire department is on scene of some houses that have been damaged and destroyed. Again, that's the unfortunate part that we don't like to hear whenever we're reporting on tornado emergencies and tornadoes on the ground. Let's see, it will be extended. Okay, so the tornado warning will be extended into Hopkins County. The storm will move up Highway 19 and move just towards the Sulphur Springs vicinity. Sulphur Springs, Good evening, Sulphur Springs. If you're watching right now, you want to start making your plan because, as I mentioned earlier, action always beats reaction. You want to have a course of action or a plan in place for when the storm makes its way towards you. So again, the National Weather Service in Fort Worth has confirmed that they will be expanding this tornado warning into Hopkins County, and they did mention that Sulphur Springs could very well be in the path of this rotation and this confirmed tornado on the ground. We're not hearing from the National Weather Service on whether or not it is still currently on the ground, but it has been observed in the past mile wide at times. It's definitely a very dangerous situation, and that latest reflectivity is showing you right there, right in here is where we're seeing for the rotation, right where the colors get a little darker and they start bowing out. That's what we're seeing for the rotation as far as reflectivity goes, because honestly, the velocity products are starting to get really muddy and really messy out there. But
there's a north. That's just kind of a.
Okay.
I may be a little off of my direction there on that.
I'm going to say a few minutes earlier. I'm going to say Bonanza 728. Let's play it safe. Let's bump everything to the left by 5 minutes or so. Bumping everything to the left, military term. Everything to 5 minutes earlier. It's 728 Bonanza. Let's go with 735 for Greenview. 801. So around 8 o'clock or so, another 40 minutes or so, it will be making its way towards Sulphur Springs. That's not. Who's not to say it's going to keep its rotation and keep the tornado on the ground all the way for another 45 minutes to an hour or so, but it's definitely a dangerous situation currently as it crosses over from Rains County into Hopkins County. Ashley, do you have something there for us?
Yeah,
It looks like there's a new tornado warning for Van Zandt County.
Yeah, tornado warning Van Zandt County till 8:15. That's that storm that we were looking at a while ago.
Okay, that verbiage on that tornado warning is radar indicated, nothing confirmed on the ground. And alrighty, let's go ahead and talk about this. Let's pull up the velocities real quick, and then we're going to toss over to our reporter who's live. Toss the velocity over this real quick. Right there, south of 198 is where we're seeing that rotation. That's why we have that tornado warning. Pretty good indicators there of strong winds. Again, that gate-to-gate shear, the winds inbound and outbound, pushing to the north and northeast about 35 miles an hour, 198. Let's go ahead and toss it over to our reporter, Brett Vetter, who is live from, I believe, the near Canton area. Brett.
That's correct. Just to give you an idea where I'm at right now, I'm here in Van Zandt County, right here off I-20 and Highway 17. Now, that tornado warning was definitely felt here right now. You can see behind me the wind's picking up a little bit, and the lightning is as well. What was once light behind me, you could see the damage, the flattened trees and the damaged buildings. You can't see it anymore. It appears the clouds are again building behind me. The rain's starting to pick up, and the traffic here along the freeway, I'll try and give you an idea of what it looks like. I'll flip the camera around, and let me see if you can see. It's just it goes back for miles and miles, and again, this is just to give you an idea of where I'm at. We're right off of I-20 in Van Zandt County. And so you'll want to definitely stay out of this area, particularly if there's a tornado warning currently in effect. The rain is starting to pick up, and again, before it got really dark around here, there were just people walking around almost in a complete shock of what they're looking at. Buildings that once were there are gone. Cars that were on the freeway, on the side of the road. Emergency crews are on scene here, but again, we might have to pack up while this next cell passes over us. But for now, reporting here in Van Zandt County, Brett Vetter, CBS19.
Stay safe, Brett. Thanks for that, and
Brett.
be ready. Know something's coming up at you out of the south.
Yeah, we have something heading towards Canton once again. It's another tornado warning in effect. This is radar indicated. Nothing has been observed or confirmed on the ground. And Brett, this is going to be pushing up along Highway 198 towards the Canton area. Definitely, if you're in Falba, now's the time. Odom, you want to be seeking shelter immediately as this storm is passing over you currently. And then for Falba, probably in the next minute or so, as this data is a few minutes behind. But as it pushes off, it'll be making its way to the northeast out along Highway 198 towards Jackson. So Jackson, you guys were in the heart of a tornado warning about an hour or two ago, and you're in it once again. Unfortunately, this is going right over the same or a similar track as the previous storms have done. and it will be making its way, it looks to be along up towards Jackson and just western part of Canton right now is where I'm thinking this is going to head towards. I know you said you are along Interstate 20 and Highway 17, and we're going to keep a close eye on this for you, Brett, if you're still listening, to make sure that we don't put you in harm's way. But you definitely let the first responders do their thing out here, folks. You want to continue seeking shelter in Van Zandt County. That tornado warning is in effect until what time, Doc? 7:45?
7:45, I believe, sir. I'll have to go back and stand by. I can give you that here in 1 second. Van Zandt County till 8:15, brother.
8:15 tornado warning.
And you brought up something really good too, Alberto. We don't need any folks driving out into this area, looking around. We've got a lot of emergency management folks, so we've got a lot of people who are going to need to get assistance. So we do not want you coming into this area and looking around and just poking into these people's business right now. There are this is a very fluid situation, especially near Canton, north of Canton, Eustis area. This entire area has been really raked over today. So please stay out of this area. Tonight we're losing daylight, which means we're losing the opportunity to, our visibility is diminishing. It's going to make it harder for the emergency management and the responders, the first responders, to be able to do what they need to do. We've got to get light on the scene, and we don't need, we just don't need extra folks out there who cannot contribute to the situation. So I just feel led to say that. Forgive me for stepping on the soapbox.
No, you're fine. We do have reports of folks that were injured, unfortunately, during this series of events that are still ongoing across parts of East Texas, and they do need that emergency personnel services as soon as possible.
Alberto, Ashley's got something.
Yes. Been reports at US 59 and just southeast of Emory, significant damage. They're looking at some buildings that are completely destroyed. Correction, US 69.
That's 69, yeah.
So that was that just came in.
69 reported. I'm sorry, your mic was off there. U.S. reports from the emergency management folks, 69 and County Road 3130 southeast of Emory. Some reports of some significant damage there. The fire rescue folks are on the scene doing search of residences. Some of those buildings, in the words of the report, they are completely destroyed. So that sadly adds another exclamation point to what we've already seen down from the Canton area.
And I know folks are wondering where are we getting these reports from. No, they're not streaming in from social media or whatnot. These are actually trained professionals, emergency management offices for these counties and cities, and also law enforcement officials and fire departments who have been trained to relay this information accurately. Is where we're getting it from, and we're in direct communications with the National Weather Service in Fort Worth constantly through a chat room, and we get the information as soon as possible. And we're going to continue to monitor this area of rotation, which doesn't look too impressive. It's a pretty broad area of rotation, but it's still a tornado-warned storm just along Highway 198. Should be making its way through Falba right now towards Jackson, probably in the next 2 to 3 minutes. And I do believe we have video of the Grand Saline tornado. If we can go ahead and punch that up. There we go. Yep, looks like we have a decent wall cloud there going on across what the Grand Saline area. Is that where it was at? Yeah, that's that video along looks to be Interstate 20 of the trees, or not the trees, but the lights are going to be dancing around just a little bit
looking
here.
West, isn't it, Alberto? Looking west?
It appears that it's looking
west. Looks like
west.
it's going west, yeah. And that's from earlier on this evening, so there's a little hint at what Grand Saline, that you have Grand Saline video? Yeah, that's
here's
the
Grand Saline video. Okay,
and that was a while back. That was before the Canton tornado there, I think, Alberto, if I'm not mistaken. I saw some traffic on that on the social sites talking about it, and that would be what it appears. If we can go back to let's go back to Max 1 if we can. Quan, real fast, just go over some quick little facts here. You know, if you're driving in this kind of situation, storms approaching you, just get off the road, turn around, and get out of the way of this thing. You need to be in an interior room of the home or the building that you're in. You need to stay away from windows, especially. We've got a lot of wind here. We're going to maybe have a little bit of hail, but even without the hail, the wind and any debris that's out there could definitely put damage to windows, even on the periphery of this kind of a situation. I'm not so much even in the direct path of the tornado, but on the periphery of that. So just, again, a couple things just to kind of keep in the back of the mind as we go through the next couple hours. We're losing our daylight here pretty rapidly, and that makes me obviously very uncomfortable with the thoughts of what is out there lurking in the dark. And the amount of moisture that is wrapped in this storm is impressive, and it's going to make it hard to see even with full daylight, Alberto.
That's correct, yeah. And we're looking at the new tornado warning that is in effect for Hopkins County till 8:15. Here's that area of rotation as it crosses over county lines. The area of rotation is broad, not to say it isn't, but we have two areas that look to be gate-to-gate shear-ish, which is we're going to be concerning. So, Doc, looking at this, would you say there may be the possibility of two actual tornadoes associated with this storm? We're looking at some gate-to-gate right along here along the county line, and then a little further west. And I'm going to go ahead and say that this is a tornado emergency, even though we don't have direct confirmation of this area of rotation, because this storm has produced a mile-wide tornado, and that came from a media source. So I'm going to go ahead and I feel confident enough to say that this was at one point a mile-wide tornado. We have several reports of injuries, and we've seen several pictures and live video of damage around the Canton area, and we're hearing reports of damage around the Emory area as well.
Yeah, Alberto, let me give you this too. Our tornado signature near Hopkins County had occluded out the first one. We got a new stronger one that's formed along the county line just southwest of Seymour. So that's what you're talking about right here. So this
and it looks like a new warning. A new warning just popped out.
Yeah, it's
154. If we go a little further southeast.
Yeah, let's do that. And
what are we looking at here?
It looks like.
Ooh, that's a tough read.
That's
if maybe we can go over towards reflectivity. We'll be able to tell.
Yeah, I think so. Let me do that here.
Have a better idea of what's going on. And what county are we in right now?
Yeah, we got the western section of Wood County and
northwestern Smith County.
Wood. Nah, doesn't include Smith. Looks just like north of Jamestown, right up there.
And you know the National Weather Service in Fort Worth is really, really busy right now. So I'm sure they that line kind of crosses over an inch or so, and that's why Smith County pops up. Smith County, you are not under a tornado warning.
Correction. Smith County, the extreme northern parts. They did include Smith County.
They did include extreme northern parts.
Extreme northern Smith County.
Extreme northern parts, and that's going to be right along the Highway 80 corridor, if you ask me.
Yeah, let's see. Storm capable of producing a tornado 9 miles southwest of Cumbie or 12 miles southwest of Sulphur Springs, moving north at 35.
Okay, so I'm going to say it's going to be this area right here where we're seeing that indentation right there, the reflectivity. Just west of Quitman is where I'm going to be saying that area of rotation should be located at. Just either at or just north of Highway 69. Again, this for extreme northern parts of Smith County, but I'd take that with a grain of salt. I'm more focused and concerned with Wood County,
absolutely,
western parts of Wood County, as the storm projected to move to the north at 30 to 35 miles per hour. This is radar indicated, and
that's muddy.
That's really muddy. Yeah, not much. I honestly think it's a little further north of that from what they're looking at. I'm going to say right here, Doc. I don't know if you're looking at the monitor, but right here is where I'm going to be concerned with that area of rotation.
Yeah, that's definitely something that gets your attention.
Yes,
for sure. It can be a crapshoot sometimes when you're on the edge of these things.
It can be, and we're in the middle of two radar beams where we don't get the most high resolution or definition as far as the data that we could possibly be getting. And this is ever so slowly moving from west to east and just continues to train over the same area. That area that Doc Deason's pointing at over right there is what we're concerned with for the rotation out here. I guess
it could be right in here, Alberto.
Okay.
I know you were looking here, but I think it's going to be further down here along 69. That's just me trying to interpret. But let's see here. Shreveport just issued the warning. Not a lot of real data or additional thoughts in the Shreveport warning here. So we've got the tornado warning.
Doc Deason.
Sir, go ahead.
We have picture, but we don't have audio right now because the EAS is going on for Smith County, I believe.
Gotcha. Okay. If you're watching us on the app and you are in the western sections of Wood County, west of Quitman, north and northwest of Mineola, your service is probably not being interrupted. Or if you're watching us on Facebook Live, you're not being interrupted either. But do be advised, you can do tornado warning for the western parts of Wood County. That's going to be west of Quitman and basically due west of Mineola. I don't necessarily think Mineola is going to be in the direct path of this thing. I think it's going to be more just west of you guys into Mineola.
That latest scan is a little muddy now that we lost the EAS alert. We can hear us again. We're looking right this area, right in the heart of that tornado warning, the western parts of Wood County, just northwestish of Quitman is where we're monitoring that possible area of rotation. This is all radar indicated. And again, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, please share this with any friends and family you may have in Wood County, out towards Hopkins County as well. Doc, I would love to go back to Hopkins County. That's the one that shows us the most true definition of and the actual confirmed tornado that we have had in the last several hours. We can go ahead and throw. Maybe we can have some velocity if the data is good. Let's see. Oh, we're looking pretty good there.
It's good.
Seymour, you want to be seeking shelter right this second right now. That rotation, this storm, this area of rotation has produced tornadoes. Has been observed many times out towards Emory, Canton, and even before that as it made its way along 198 and just to the southeast of Canton.
A lot of lightning 19. In there too. A lot of lightning in there, and if you're in Sulphur Springs and you've got a phone or something, be sure you've got a charge on that, please, and be sure that you're prepared for the lightning, which is going to be coming out ahead of this storm, and be prepared to monitor us as well as over the radio and on our app on your phone. We're on Facebook Live. But that circulation, it's not as impressive as what it was earlier on, but it is still definitely there, and it definitely bears concern there. South of Sulphur Springs, it's getting a little bit tighter, and put some additional points of reference back on the map for you. My apologies for not doing that sooner. There's Bonanza, there's 19 going into Sulphur Springs, and 154 coming up from Yanis and the Seymour area. Let's take that off and try to reestablish that. So there's definitely some good some impressive stuff coming out of Rains County, right along the Rains-Hopkins County, and then there's the Wood County line there.
So we're looking at Highway 154 and areas west of there.
Yeah, I would say so. West of 154 or along 154. But either way. Jackson, anything update out of the newsroom, Steve Jackson?
Well, a quick update. We have several viewers that is actually sending videos and pictures.
Okay.
So we're going to show those viewers all those pictures next and let folks know exactly what's going on.
Okay. If you have pictures, thanks, Steve-O. If you have pictures and you'd like to email them to us, just send it to weather@cbs19.tv. Weather@cbs19.tv. We'll be able to pass along that to folks as well, as we continue to try to keep eyes on what's going on here currently. And if I'm in Seymour along 154, you need to be in a safe spot right now. So.
And I do believe we have some viewer pictures and possibly some videos as well. We'll go ahead and punch those up real quick, and so we can see what kind of damage we're dealing with across the Rains County and also Van Zandt County whenever the director can there. We just got the information from our news director.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. There we go. That came from Brandy London Easley. Looks to be a nice little roper. We got some trees, limbs laying down there. Definitely some strong wind damage. Rooftops being peeled off there and wrapped around light poles. Looks like something possibly rain wrapped in that little picture. There you go, Doc. Look at that.
Yeah, that's just plumb scary.
Yeah.
Circulation in Hopkins County, while you're looking at that, Alberto, southern Hopkins County circulation very strong. Shear in excess of 110 knots on the radar. Sulphur Springs you need to be in a place of shelter if you're in Sulphur Springs. This is coming right up 154. It looks like. So as you're looking at those pictures there, that's what it's done, and it's
our director Quan, if you can go back to. There we go. We're looking at some really strong winds now associated just around the Seymour area, 154. And as Doc mentioned, this is pushing north of along 154, and it's going to be making its way to Sulphur Springs. Sulphur Springs, if you're listening, please heed to this warning, as this storm has produced multiple tornadoes and a mile wide at times. That came from a reliable source. So definitely a tornado emergency for Hopkins County as that tornado warning continues till 8:15. You want to seek shelter immediately, whether it's a storm shelter or cellar. And if you don't have a storm shelter, you want to make your way towards the lowest level. If you have a multiple level building or house, you want to make your way to the first floor, most interior hallway or most interior room, preferably with no windows if possible. Get in the bathtub. The bathtub would be a safe place to go, and it's always recommended to possibly put a helmet, a bicycle helmet or a skateboarding helmet on the kids' heads as they protects them from flying debris. We haven't really seen anything. Nobody's really too concerned with the hail right now because we've been having serious situation, emergencies, dire situation across our western counties throughout the last several hours. Doc, I think we've been wall to wall since about 4 o'clock or so, and it's just been ongoing, storm after storm, and it continues pulsing up and down and up and down. And really, this one particular cell hasn't really let up a whole lot in about almost 2 hours now.
Yeah, it's been pretty solid.
This is the same exact storm that rolled through Eustis, and it was confirmed and observed down there as it made its way across 175. So we're looking at some healthy supercellular storms out here. And we're just waiting for this cold front to catch up with all this to help it push further east and weaken it considerably, because once we get that cold front to catch up with it, which, if you ask me, has stalled out because around 1 o'clock or so, that front made its way through Fort Worth.
Yeah.
It made its way through Fort Worth. We saw about a 10 to 15, Ashley and I saw about a 10 to 15 degree temperature drop. Winds shifted from the west. So we saw that cold front push through Fort Worth and stalling. And now we're hopefully, you see how we're getting a more linear shape out here?
Yeah. That should help to degrade some of the tornadic ability there.
Correct. But the thing is, even with the squall line that we're seeing develop out here, we cannot still rule out the tornado because we have such a good amount of instability and even energy across East Texas that hasn't even been tapped into. We got a hailer going on out towards what looks like Camp Titus, that area, Marion County possibly. I mean, and we haven't even got to those yet because we've been getting multiple reports of tornadoes in areas of rotation. And luckily for us, what looks to be developing into a squall line looks like that cold front may actually be starting to catch up to it, and that's going to help mitigate the tornadic possibility. And then from there, we're going to go into a straight line winds and a hail potential.
Yeah, probably more the straight line winds than anything else once this thing is able to all congeal. But these storms, as they start to have to share energy amongst each other, it makes it a little bit more difficult. There's some disruption of the winds at the lower level of the storm, and that makes it a little bit harder for these things to sustain. But we aren't out of the woods yet. Weather Service still concerned about the southern Van Zandt County circulation south of Canton. No tornado confirmation, but it's definitely capable of that. So that's this storm here on the kind of on the west-southwest side of Canton, and then you've got the storm over Hopkins County, southern Hopkins County, coming out of Rains County, which continues running north, and you've got this tornadic circulation there along the western side of Wood County, which, so I guess that gives us 3 that we're trying to have to try to juggle here as we continue to watch folks west of Quitman. If you're in Wood County, west of Quitman, generally I think north of 69 now, along and north of Highway 69, getting back up into those rural sections of northwestern Wood County. And then we've got the circulation over Rains County as well, which is now exited out, and that's prompted the warning for Hopkins County, which goes until 8:15. Ashley, what are you seeing there?
More rotation.
Just good rotation there near Jackson. So that's the southwest of Canton, and it's a heck of a hail signature on that thing. I'll tell you that much. So there's.
Yeah, they've gone with the severe thunderstorm warning as well, and that's going to be for that hail potential.
Yeah. So you've got dual threats there, and it looks like some additional development trying to take place there. That latest scan a little bit to the little bit east of 198 now. Notice that better hail core that's just starting to pop up.
So it looks like we're slowly but surely trying to transition from a super
tornadic to more of a severe and wind type of threat. I was told we have some video from just a couple of minutes ago, about an hour or so ago maybe. I'm not sure where it's from. Quan? Van Zandt County? Okay. Quan, do you have any video? Did we have some fresh video into the newsroom out of Van Zandt County? Yes, okay. I think that's what we're looking at there, Alberto. I'll let you take that.
All right, yeah, we're seeing you can definitely see the rotation there. If you can superimpose me over this video, Quan, if that's possible. I don't know what I'm just TV magic. There we go. Look at that. Oh, well, we did have rotation there. You see emergency management, and the wall cloud is not really well defined in here, but you can definitely, especially earlier in the parts of that video, you can see where the clouds were definitely rotating. It looks like they were on the northern end of this based on the direction things were moving out here. And there you go. You can see definitely that rotation right here. They're probably actually on the west or eastern side or western side of this, as that rotation continues out there. And again, it's not a really well-defined wall cloud with this video, but you can definitely see where the atmosphere is spinning along this supercell. earlier today. And again, this is from Van Zandt County. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct,
Okay.
Alberto. That's good.
Yeah.
We're getting reports of a new flash flood warning for Henderson County as well, Alberto. So we're gonna definitely transition this. That came out here several minutes ago, about 5 or so minutes ago. But flash flood warning, Henderson County. It'll be western Henderson County as these storms continue to train over some of the same real estate. That corridor there from Eustis down to Malakoff. It continues to dump a significant amount of water onto the ground, and even in this kind of a situation where we've got some areas still dealing with some drought, we're now dealing with the flash flood concern there. So there's the warning itself. Henderson and Navarro County, that goes till 10:45. So that complicates the situation there near Malakoff, where we did have a tornado or Eustis rather, that tornado that crossed over 175 there near Eustis about an hour and a half, I guess, or so ago. And now we're adding insult to injury on top of all that.
And that's because these storms, Doc, for the last several hours have been training over the same exact areas. And now, instead of it being the tornado threat going over the exact areas, now we're seeing the constant rainfall as well, and which has prompted the first, which I expect to be many flash flood warnings for tonight.
Yeah, Weather Service is going to go with a severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Hopkins County, mainly concerned with the wind threat. So that, sadly, it's good when a severe thunderstorm warning is a positive versus a negative, but that's kind of where we've landed ourselves at tonight. So that'll be coming out. Storms near Como, yeah. So that's going to be down here in the kind of in that southeastern pocket of Hopkins County. So there's still going to be some rotation in there, I would expect. It's pretty broad. It's not as impressive as it was a couple of scans ago. But
it's broad, but if you look at the backside of this, just a little further out, we got some strong gusty winds, and if you take off the inside the storm there and take off the velocity overlay, you can actually see what we like to look for straight line damaging type winds is the tight color gradient that we have here for reflectivity. So we go from almost no rain to light rain to heavy rain really quickly. So that's telling you that the stronger winds that we saw back here are definitely pushing to the east, and looks to be like kind of like an outflow kind of deal, or possibly the heavier rain just around the Seymour area is beginning to collapse and fall a little heavier, and just pushing the air out just ahead of that. And that's why we're seeing the colors go quickly from light green to red and orange rather rapidly, and that's going to be indicating the straight line wind threat out there. As you mentioned, for Wood County and the Como area.
let me see what this is. Yeah, these storms, stand by, I'm just checking something here real quick.
Okay.
This storm southwest of Canton still has some some rotation. Looks like some rotation with it. You can kind of make out the color, the contouring there as well. So it still has.
Looks like some really heavy, if not heavy rain, definitely some hail with that associated. And this is, if there is a tornado with this or a funnel cloud, it's going to be rain wrapped. There's no point in going outside, folks, to take a picture or try to see it, because you're not going to see it. We've lost our daylight. We're losing, and then we have the cloud cover on top of that, plus any kind of rotation or funnel cloud or tornado that we do have across the area. It's going to be rain wrapped, so you're not going to be seeing it. It's going to be difficult to see for the trained eye, which will make it much more difficult for those who are not knowing what to look for. And then we're showing you the velocity product over this just southwest of Canton, and it looks to be really broad rotation, nothing concerning as far as the really bright colors. We look for the really bright colors that indicates the stronger winds, and we want those to be, those pixels basically to be touching up against each other so we can see the inbounds and outbound winds, and that's what we're going to be looking for the tight rotation. But we don't see any of that there, just broad rotation. This is what we would call a mesocyclone, which definitely has rotation within the storm, but not enough to warrant the high concerns for tornadic activity. And earlier, I was chatting with the National Weather Service, and they were talking about the probability of showers and storms behind the cold front. And there's still a lot of untapped energy out there as well, because nothing fired up over there earlier in the day. And they're concerned that with this developing behind the cold front, could be hail producers. Nothing really concerning as far as damaging winds or tornadic activity behind the cold front out towards the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, but that later on will eventually be an issue for us in the form of hail potentially. But right now we're focused on the tornado warnings that we have going on for Van Zandt County until 8:15, which is probably about another 28 minutes or so. That is radar indicated, not confirmed or observed, but still a dangerous situation and one you don't want to take lightly, especially with what we have actually observed earlier in the day. And then we have that tornado warning for Hopkins County till 8:15 as well. Not sure where the rotation is on this one, Doc. Kind of lost it here in the radar.
Yeah, well, it's it looks like you said, the strong wind concern of Weather Service is talking about the velocities showing a very strong surge nosing towards Como, indicating damaging wind threat from Como into the southeastern corner of Hopkins County. So still a broad circulation north end of the bow, but just east of Sulphur Springs. Tornado threat may have dipped a little bit. It's still,
okay.
You can't completely discount it, but as you said, this is transitioning into more of a straight line wind, I think, than the actual.
And straight line wind damage is nothing to play around with or joke around with.
all.
Also, because a few weeks, maybe a month or two back, we had that straight line wind damage out of Garland, just north of the Dallas area or northeast of Dallas area. Houses were destroyed in certain neighborhoods, and it wasn't tornado. It was confirmed straight line winds from the National Weather Service at about 100 to 105 miles per hour. So just because the tornado threat is a little lower, we're still in a very dangerous, volatile situation with the straight line damaging winds, and now it looks like we may be mixing in some hail with that as well. So now we start seeing the roof damages, the car windshield damages as well, aside from the flying debris that we had earlier today. But we still have, it looks like a good chunk of Wood County there, for the straight line damaging wind concern, as you mentioned, especially out towards the Como area. And that, I know that the auto query automatically goes to the highest priority, which would be the tornado warning. What's the timing on that severe thunderstorm warning there, Doc?
Severe thunderstorm warning, we got a new one that's just come out for Franklin, Smith, and Wood counties. It's going to go till 8:30.
Okay.
So that's, they're looking at these storms coming in out of the west. And let me pull this up here. Severe thunderstorms over Pleasant Grove, 7 miles west of Winnsboro, moving east at 55. So
just the storm itself is moving at 55 miles per hour. So
Yeah.
that tells you what kind of winds we could possibly see ahead of that with the outflow or the gust front that some folks may call it. So we're anywhere from 58 miles per hour, folks, is what the National Weather Service looks for as far as severe criteria. So anything around that, they're going to issue a severe thunderstorm warning. So for 58 mile per hour winds or hail 1 inch or greater is what the criteria is. So again, we're looking at the storm moving itself at 55 miles per hour, and it does appear that cold front is beginning to kick it off to the east just a little more now, which is why we're starting to see that straight line damaging wind threat, and especially out towards the Como area and just northwest of Oak Grove. So expect some really gusty conditions out here, and we're still seeing the storm spinning a little bit out here. Just southeast of Sulphur Springs, you see where it kind of dents in just a little bit there. Mm-hmm. That's where we're seeing that rotation, which is why that storm track is spinning there. And it's orange because it's a moderate level of rotation. If we see that jump up to a darker orange or a red, that indicates that the rotation is strengthening. Same going out southwest of Canton right now. I want to go ahead and refresh and see which tornado warnings we still have active, Doc, if we can do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Let me tell you this. We got a new flash flood warning, which has been issued for Rains County and Van Zandt County till 10:45.
And again, not surprising because these storms continue tracking over the same path that the previous storms have tracked over here recently. So we do have that tornado warning. I'm excluding Smith County because that's really just along the border there. I'm going to say that tornado warning for Wood County, till 8 o'clock p.m. And that rotation has really weakened considerably compared to what we saw earlier. And that's going to be sticking around for another 10 minutes or so. And then we have a tornado warning for Hopkins County until 8:15. We saw that broad area of rotation around the Sulphur Springs vicinity, not too far. That's the one that we saw. We had confirmed reports of tornado on the ground. We saw the videos. We saw the pictures. We saw some of the damage earlier from Brett. He's live was live earlier at Interstate 20 at the car dealers, or no, around the Canton area. I apologize. Highway 17 and I-20, just around there. And this was a really bad day for this, as you mentioned a couple of times, Doc, because this weekend, was first Monday day in Canton, so we're trade days in Canton, so we're a lot of folks tracking towards that area, folks from Dallas, Fort Worth, folks from East Texas. I wouldn't be surprised if folks from Shreveport, Bossier City, Louisiana make it out here for trade days. It's a great event. Unfortunately, these tornadic storms rolled right over there multiple times, and we saw many reports of damage and even injury across parts of Van Zandt County from emergency management offices.
We're pass it along a little bit. Thank you, Ashley. Tornado threat looks to be decreasing somewhat southern central sections of Van Zandt County. Rotation still broad. Lots of trees down reported from emergency management folks in Rains County, southeast of Emory along 69, about a mile or so off of 515, right there at 515 and 69. So we continue to transition this from a tornado to a damaging wind and a flash flood threat. So we've got let's see, we've got Henderson County, Van Zandt County, Rains County now all involved in flash flood warnings, and that's going to do nothing but hamper the rescue that is going on near Canton. As best we can tell, we're seeing reports of injuries, possibly multiple injuries, potential fatalities, and a lot of confirmed damage in the Canton area from that tornado that went right across the interstate here about an hour or so ago. These storms, as they continue to congeal into a larger line, that's going to make more of a wind threat, less of a tornado threat, but we can't discount that tornado threat too much. We want to keep our eyes open to it and understand that this stuff is starting to finally move to the west now, and we've seen additional development take place out southwestern sections of Henderson County, down into extreme northwestern parts of Anderson County, and that line beginning to get itself together, and it's going to start tugging itself to the east. We're going to bring rain and thunderstorms into the central counties of East Texas here over the next hour or so. So that's kind of where we sit right now. It's 7:53. Thanks for getting your weather information from CBS19. You're watching KYTX Tyler Longview. We continue to watch the tornadic situation south central sections of Van Zandt County, but that circulation does not look as impressive as it did earlier on. So that's good news there. Second area we've got a warning for is western sections, northwestern now sections of Wood County. That circulation also does not look quite as impressive as it did a couple of minutes ago. So we're glad to be able to pass that along to you as well.
I don't want to take away from the flash flooding concerns as well,
No,
because
we do not.
Because that's one of the biggest weather killers, unfortunately.
Besides heat, yep.
Folks underestimate the road conditions, and they overestimate their driving capabilities and their vehicle's capabilities. It only takes a few inches of water to wipe you off the road. And
especially after dark.
Especially after dark, you can't see it. The ground, the road actually blends in with the water, and it's hard to see it. And so if you don't have to be out, especially for Van Zandt, Rains County, Hopkins County, Wood County, if you do not have to be out right now, please do not do so. Make room on the roads for emergency personnel, because there are injured folks out there who may be trapped in houses and or vehicles that do need their services, and you're just going to hinder that by being on the road. So please do not do that.
Yeah, we don't need a bunch of looky-loos tonight, especially with the loss of electricity. There's a lot of, expect this entire area to be mostly without power for probably a couple of days with this kind of wind situation.
New circulation near Ben Wheeler.
Okay. New circulation, Weather Service is looking at a new circulation near Ben Wheeler with it's going to become more of a wind threat. So let's see what we're dealing with here.
50-foot trees down. It's just chaotic out there right now. So please stay at bay.
Okay. Let's get in a little bit tighter. Let's go ahead and put some additional towns on here real fast. There's Ben Wheeler. Notice this gradient here as we were talking about. Notice how we go from very light rain, moderate rain, heavier rain, much heavier rain, even heavier rain. That is going to be a great recipe for an enhancement of wind, straight line winds.
Yes, and when you get those gradients tighter together, that's when you get
much more of a problem in that area of extreme western Smith County and extreme eastern sections of Van Zandt County, right there near Ben Wheeler. So we're gonna be talking about the Smith County area here in the next little bit, where this is the show has really just begun, sadly, although it should continue to transition away from tornado and more towards the straight line wind concern.
With straight line winds, they can still cause the same amount of damage.
Absolutely, and straight line winds on top of already soaked ground is another recipe for significant problems, down trees, down power lines. I mean, pick your particular poison, and you'll be dealing with that as well. As we push towards 7:56, tornado warnings continue for western Hopkins County. That's going to be northwest of Quitman. that storm there, let's look at it real quick on the scope, see if we can see anything that looks overly spooky, not as crazy as a lot of the stuff that we saw here about 35 to 40 minutes or so ago. I will tell you that. So that's good news. The warning itself, though, still in place, and they're going to go with it. I'm trying to find that warning goes till 8 o'clock. So we're coming up on just about expiration time for that. So the storm and the storm that they have in Wood County going to be become less of an issue. I got some reports from some family members of mine up in Emory. Said they stood on their front porch and watched the tornado pass by, and now got water flooding over the roads there. They're in Emory, or just outside of Emory. So that was more confirmation of what we expected to hear occur. So as we hit 8 o'clock, we're going to lose the Wood County warning. Well, Smith County, you're done with that anyway. So just be mindful of that. Hopkins County, your warning will officially is still in place. Circulation broader right now. Let's see here. Again, we continue to kind of spin this thing more towards straight line winds. The Hopkins County warning will expire at 8:15 officially. There's pretty good circulation here now, or at least there's something trying to spin there along Highway 11 between Picton and Seymour. Let's see what that looks like real fast. And it's pretty broad, but there's still some definite circulation on some days. That would be something to really look at and talk about. But on a day like today, that doesn't seem to bode as bad as other things that we've seen earlier on in the afternoon, especially. Heavy rainfall. Henderson County, west of Athens. We don't want to understate the flash flood concerns here over this section of East Texas. What you got?
It's looking like they're going to go for a tornado warning for eastern Van Zant near Colfax now. And a new severe thunderstorm warning will be coming for northeastern Hopkins County.
New severe, say that again, I'm sorry.
A new severe thunderstorm warning will be coming for northeastern Hopkins
There's
County.
also a new tornado warning radar indicated for Van Zant County until 8:30 p.m.
This one right here.
That's looks to be just to the east and southeast of Canton. Let's go ahead and throw the velocities over here and see exactly what the national. There you go. It's got a good indicator signature.
And that's just in the last couple of scans that I've seen.
Yes. It looks like it'll pass northwest of Van. So if you're in Van right now, now's the time to be seeking shelter. This is heading to the this is why we're seeing the different trajectory now, the different path.
Everything's getting disrupted.
Everything's going from west to east out there. And again, this is all radar indicated. Nothing has been confirmed or observed. Go ahead and talk over that real quick, Doc.
Absolutely. Yeah, it looks like that velocity there is pretty tight. They're just near the I-20 and Highway 64. Looks to be where that better rotation is sitting at right now. Go ahead, brother. Sorry about that. So let's put ourselves in our safe spot there, near Colfax, west of Ben Wheeler, northwest of Ben Wheeler, out 64, other side of Ben Wheeler. If you're on the Ben Wheeler, if you're on the east side of Canton there, east southeast of Canton, between Canton and Ben Wheeler, that seems to be where we're going to have some concern at right now. So we need to definitely be in our safe spot in that particular section, and we've got a lot of hail in there as well. At least the components would appear to be there based off of the radar returns that I'm seeing here of what could be probably some quarters to maybe a little bit ping pong ball sized hail in there.
National Weather Service, a good friend of ours, Tom Bradshaw, who was in town for the storm spotter training, saying strong circulation will cross I-20 near Colfax, just west of Van, and then a tornado is possible at any time. We saw the velocity products earlier, just a few moments ago, showing some strong indicators across just southwest of the Colfax area. And again, we're hitting that area where the radar becomes a little muddy and the data is a little more difficult to interpret and pinpoint exactly where this is at. But this is heading east, though. All the storms we've been dealing with so far have been going from southwest to north, northeast or so. Now the cold front's catching up and pushing everything from west to east, which is why the projected path of this is heading east. And I think we're getting some more information here from our news director.
We just got video coming in from West Henderson County, a tornado on the ground.
West Henderson County.
Okay. So this video should be popping up pretty soon.
All right, Quan, whenever you are ready with that video of our tornado on the ground from West Henderson, do we have credit for this video for anybody?
Yes, we do. Yeah,
Jody Vinick. Yeah. Okay.
They're not ready with it quite
And
yet.
they're not ready. They're not quite ready with it yet. But this is the National Weather Service. Our buddy in Fort Worth talked about just west of Colfax. The rotation there, we're looking at it pushing to the east and making its way towards Van. So if you're in Colfax, if you're in Van, if you're along I-20 between Colfax and Van, you definitely want to get off the highway right now and then seek shelter in the most interior part of your house, again, away from every window. It could be a bathroom, it could be a closet, it could be underneath a stairwell or a hallway. Just stay away from the windows. This is, again, a dangerous situation. All radar indicated, but with the environment we've had all day today, it wouldn't be much to see a tornado drop out of this storm.
Weather Service saying large hail now occurring across areas east of Canton, Alberto, which matches up with what we were talking about here with this kind of this lavender shaded area here, and even a better hail core it looks like on this last scan. Notice a little interior pocket of what would be some even larger hail, and it stands to reason that proper placement for it being kind of in the center part of that return. So large hail there east of Canton, moving east to northeast. If I'm in Van,
and
get your safe spot.
That's
please.
right around the area where the hail core is coming out, where that dealership took a direct hit just along the I-20 corridor. I'm sorry, what was that, Booth?
I-20. Sorry, stand by one here.
And Brett was actually out in this area not so long ago along Highway 17. So
north of 64.
North of 64.
Yeah,
okay.
along 20.
Along 20. So again, if you do not have to be out in the streets, please do not do it, because now the emergency personnel who are trying to do humanitarian services across parts of Canton and Van Zandt County, they need to seek shelter now because they have reported large hail from the National Weather Service falling down across the area that took a direct hit from a tornado. So please leave the roadways as open as possible. It's going to be a long, ongoing operation tonight for recovery as far as personnel is concerned.
$50 hail there, Alberto.
$50 hail. So
inch
that's
and a quarter.
Inch and a quarter. That's going to definitely leave a mark. So you don't want to catch yourself outside with this happening now. And this is evolving. This threat is going to be evolving from a tornadic threat to a hail producer, and also not just a hail producer, but also a straight line damaging wind. But we still got a pretty decent rotation ongoing across the Colfax area, and actually making its way along I-20 right now, just north of town, north of Colfax. And in Van, if you're in Van, I'm telling you right now, is where you want to seek shelter immediately, right at this second right now, as it continues pushing out to the east at about 30 to 40 miles an hour out here. And it's going to be riding just along the Interstate 20 corridor. And I believe we do have video. I'm going to go ahead and step off so you can roll video. This was from Henderson County. This is from Jody Vincic. I'm sorry if I butchered your last name there, but thank you, Jody, from Henderson County. There's that tornado, Doc. What do you think of that?
That's. I'm glad Jody was in a safe spot. I'll just tell you that. Good grief, and well backlit too, which makes it even spookier. Just to watch that kind of thing move across, and that's no small one there.
That's
either. I mean, it looks at times like it may be vacillating a little bit, but it's even maybe a couple of little
vortices
in there, yeah. Maybe. I mean, and then it kind of dissipates and reforms, and it all matches up with what we were seeing with the velocity data that we were looking at earlier on, where it just kind of wants to ramp up and then stabilize. At least the cars aren't driving into it.
That's a good condensation area right there. It's picked up, and then so that's again Henderson County, and our thanks to Jody for sending in that video. We greatly appreciate it. We are glad you were not harmed in the process of recording this video.
Pretty strong circulation there back on the radar, which is going to pass, it looks like, just northwest of Van, crossing I-20 right now. And let me get a little bit tighter, see if I can get a little bit tighter in on this. Stand by, Alberto. You want to talk that up while I change batteries here, brother?
Yes, sir. Go right ahead. So, yeah, this area right here of rotation just along Interstate 20 is pushing to the east-northeast, and it looks to be heading towards the extreme western and northwestern parts of Van probably in the next 4 to 5 minutes. If you're in Van, seek shelter immediately right now as this storm makes its way. It has not been confirmed on the ground yet, but National Weather Service says it is possible any time now, as it is radar indicated, and velocities are showing pretty good signatures out there. As Doc Deason zooms in just a little bit, though, we're looking at the gate-to-gate shear that would take place just along Interstate 20 right now. By this point, it should be just to the north of the highway by just a little bit, but we're looking at the gate-to-gate shear of 94 miles per hour, and the National Weather Service is also indicating that aside from the tornado threat, just not too far from that area of rotation, we can be seeing straight line winds. What was it, 50 to 70 miles an hour, Doc? Is that
70 and up to an inch and a half hail.
Up to an inch and a half hail and 70 mile per hour winds. So again, if you're not near this rotation, you still need to take this storm serious as we're seeing the straight line wind concern beginning to unfold here across East Texas. And we're looking right, probably in that little couplet right there for the radar reflectivity is probably where we're seeing that area of rotation.
Yeah, somewhere in here.
Yeah,
yeah,
right in
Colfax along 20, and just north of there now. I'm sorry.
And it is pushing to the east-northeast. So,
yeah.
Van, you're in pretty much the direct path of this possible tornado as it makes its way out there. This is all radar indicated, not confirmed or observed, but still a very dangerous situation. And then as Doc pans out just a little bit, we can see that we're just to the north of Interstate 20. We're seeing, and northeast of Canton, we're seeing a pretty good hail core out there, and that's where they're seeing the but the 1.5 inch hail. Again, Van, Horde, if you're in the path of this, you want to seek shelter as it continues pushing off and eventually make its way into northern parts of Smith County.
Yeah.
Lindale, I'd start taking action and having a plan because it's probably about a 10 to 15 minute time span between there to there as the storm is moving about 45 to 50 miles an hour. Doc, roughly the storm movement. I lost Doc. The storm is moving to the east about 50 miles an hour, 45 to 50 miles an hour. So it's going to be getting to Van rather rapidly. It's going to be getting towards the Lindale area rather rapidly as well. The Hideaway area, you definitely want to start having a plan out there, and eventually Highway 69 just north of Tyler and north of Interstate 20 as it continues pushing off the north. Yes.
Alberto, real quick, they're going to have an emergency command center set up at Canton High School. Van Zandt County, we're getting that from the newsroom. So if you've got family members, folks in that Canton area who could have potentially been impacted, just know that they're going to really start focusing things out of the high school there. So just Canton High School.
And that's just for folks who have missing persons or something, or who are directly impacted by the tornado itself, or have damage to their houses or vehicles or injuries. Canton High School is where the Emergency Operations Center is going to be set up. And again, if you do not have to go in that area, please leave way for the emergency personnel services and also for the folks who need the actual assistance from them. But we're looking at the broad rotation still. Nothing confirmed out of this storm as it makes its way through Van Zandt County. That warning expires in about 6 minutes. Not really seeing anything gate to gate that really indicates high concern for tornadoes, but the National Weather Service in Fort Worth does emphasize that one can drop out of this any moment. We definitely have broad rotation, and wouldn't be surprised if we have a rotating wall cloud associated with this as well.
We're looking at the potential for 2 to 2.5 inch hail, it looks like now, south of Grand Saline, Alberto. Weather Service is looking at that, and it stands to reason with these returns that we're getting. So that seems to be our one of our additional concerns, besides the straight line wind concern, is going to be for this pocket in here. Let me maneuver a couple things around here, put some additional areas. There's 110 coming north out of Van, Lawrence Springs. This will be east of 19 and coming up on Highway 110. This storm's moving east at about 25, 30 miles an hour. So this hail core is going to cross 110 here pretty quick, up to 2 inches of 2-inch stones there, potentially in that core. Still a strong circulation west-northwest of Van. It'll pass near Pruitt and Jones. Tornado development still possible, though the circulation isn't quite as tight as we were talking about. Like
and you know what, Doc? That verbiage doesn't mean anything to me, because the way we've seen things unfold today, it only takes a matter of a scan or two to see that circulation tighten right back up, bringing that tornado concern once again. So, you're in that warning. you better heed to that
Yeah, you
warning.
wanna stick
and
close to
yes, definitely.
For sure on that. But I-20, Colfax area east of Colfax now looks to be where the circulation would be, actually east-northeast of Colfax. There's a little bit of gate-to-gate going on, but it's not as broad as it has been of late. So that's good to see. What we refer to as that gate-to-gate shear. We were seeing numbers approaching 130 earlier on this afternoon. We're down in the 60s. So that's an improvement, at least in this particular situation. But it's something that we don't want to let our guard down, as you said. We want to stay in this position of safety. But man, I'm telling you, that hail near Jones and along highway just west of 110. What's that, Ashley?
I was just saying it can do some pretty bad damage to your car if it's not
significant damage and
in your
roof
garage
damage and livestock. If you got any animals outside your house there, be mindful of that. I've seen a lot of animals. I've seen a lot of animals injured and killed with time out in West Texas with hailers. Let's see here. Let's check what we have going on further to the east. Still no confirmation of any type of tornadic touchdown near Van. So that's very, very good news to be able to pass along to you. And besides the hail, the wind threat begins to take more of a front row seat. There's a new severe thunderstorm warning just coming out, it looks like, for northern Smith County. Weather Service has just issued that, severe for 70 and up to 1 inch hail, Smith, Upshur, and Wood County. So this is going to be north of Tyler. Let's see. Let's run this. See what our forward speed is on it, and we'll do a storm track for you. Going northeast at 40. So this Lindale, be ready. Mineola, you're seeing it now, but I'm telling you, Mineola, you got a heck of a hail core coming off just to the west of you, and that's going to be a problem as we go through the next little bit. So let's do a little storm track on this, and we'll take it out east. I believe it was east at 40, northeast at 40. So let's do that. And there we go. So there's some towns and some areas of impact. Lindale right 817. Feta 825. Hawkins 835. Big Sandy, you're around 845. Enoch at 855. Gilmer 9. East Mountain about 907. So we're starting to see that eastward progression finally. For the last couple hours, we've been dealing with all this stuff just running right over the same area of ground. We call that training. And that is a really good environment for flash flooding, and when you have multiple storms which keep running over the same piece of real estate, it's just with tornadic potential to it. It's just awful. So that's kind of where we are now. Latest warning again: severe thunderstorm warning, northern Smith County. This will be north of Tyler, Lindale, those areas of Smith County north of Tyler, Swan. I'd still be ready. You're maybe just a little bit north of you guys, but here's some additional areas. Hideaway Lake, a lot of folks with us in Hideaway Lake, and this thing continues coming across Van. Although the hail signature is the better hail is going to cross over, probably up closer to Jamestown, as this thing kind of crosses over the northern, more the northern parts of Smith County there. Up in all that rural section of Smith County west of 69. That's where this hail core is going to eventually impact. But before it does that, it's going to rake over northeastern parts of Van Zandt County there, from north of Pruitt, especially right now. But south of there, you got the tornado threat. So we're still running multiple concerns there. Here's let me scroll back out here and show you this movement. You can kind of make out how that hail core really got itself going just out of Canton. And then there it rolls. So it actually may just, Mineola, I'd be ready.
Yeah, stay away from any windows, especially if they face the west as the storm rolls through, because those hailstones, when they come down, they're going to come down from the west and from the south as well.
Yeah.
So,
and if you've got a garage door that is up for some reason that you can get down, I would encourage you to do that as well. I've seen houses before where they left the garage door open, you know, a garage door is not a very strong piece of equipment, but it can sometimes help to shunt that wind just enough. You get that wind inside the garage, and you've got an open area for that wind to really begin to help work on peeling back some roof. So just if you can get those garage doors down, please do that as well. Let's see here. So that covers the Smith County warning and the Wood County warning. I'm going to pull that off, and starting to see some good eastward progression on this stuff. Athens, you haven't had a whole lot go on the last couple of hours. You've been watching it off to the west of you. Not anymore. Rain heavy there. And it's going to continue tracking as this cold front comes through, as Alberto was talking about. The cold front gets in here, and it's going to help to kind of spur this along. Hi, Libby. I hear you in the ear. Do you have anything yet? Okay, thank you, ma'am. Our executive producer, Libby Shaw, in the booth with us. Cayuga, back down extreme rural northern sections of Anderson County along 287. Palestine, you got a shower getting going just to the south of you right now. Let's look at lightning too. We don't want to discount the lightning concerns with these storms. We haven't had to talk a whole lot about or worry about lightning as much as the tornadoes, but I think we're going to be watching that here for the next little bit. So most of the lightning has been in these storms from Athens back up. Good grief, a lot of lightning in that storm near Canton, or east of Canton now. And when you've got that kind of hail production, you're going to have a whole lot of static electricity and a whole lot of lightning in there as well. So it all lines up good. So even if the hail core maybe passes away from you, Mineola or some rural sections of northern Smith County, the lightning will be just as much of a concern. And the wind threat's going to be there as well, as these things are probably capable of 50 to 70 mile an hour winds potentially, even without a tornado concern. So it's 8:18. We continue monitoring the situation. Warnings as they stand right now. We looks like they just cleared out the southwestern Van Zandt County tornado warning, so that's great. We continue. Good grief, that's
They
a lot of
continue
lightning.
the one for eastern Van Zandt County till 8:30.
We continue to back this stuff down, but I don't want to pull it off for the thought that we might lose sight of this additional threat here. So we'll leave it up there for just a second. Here's where the hail concern is at. Along 110, there's Jones, northeastern parts of Van Zandt County, south of Grant's-Saline. You got some horrific hail there, just south of town. It's probably going to continue running northeast and passing just south or just east of town there. Ashley, anything?
Yes, we have another severe thunderstorm warning that includes Franklin, Morris, and Titus County.
Till 9:15.
Till 9:15.
60 mile an hour winds and
Just less than an
8/10 inch hail. Yeah. Looking more.
Well,
Yeah, depending on what radar you're at, you
we're going to
cross
see
over.
we're going to see what the Shreveport radar has to show real quick, and really the rotation, as you mentioned, is still there. It's just real broad, still at the time.
More straight line.
So if we go a little west, right now the Fort Worth radar signature looks a little more promising.
Yeah.
But everything is starting to convert into a straight line wind and hail threat, which is the fortunate good news out there. But still, the tornado warning is still in effect for eastern Van Zandt County. The rotation remains just northwest, I believe, of Van is where the circulation is at, but it's real broad at the time. The line is starting to pick up and move to the northeast at 40 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So
And that's good for the flash flood concern, at least.
That's definitely good for the flash flood. But the counties are under that flash flood warning. They have been seeing these storms train over them for the last
Several hours.
5 hours. But the National Weather Service in Fort Worth is not ready to cancel that Van Zandt tornado warning just yet.
No.
Yes, but they also said it doesn't look like they may extend it after 8:30.
Okay.
That's good.
So that's good news.
About 8:20 here right now. The hail course still, again, east side of Grant-Saline and extending back south. Yeah, the east side of Grant, along and east of Grant-Saline. There's Highway 80 running east-west through Grant-Saline. So along and just ahead on Grant-Saline, east on 80, and the hail core. Looks like the northern extent of that hail core just crossing along and south of Highway 80 as you continue running back east towards the Van Zandt and Wood County line. So that's an impressive looking It's an impressive look at, yeah, 3.
Now, Doc, this is telling us almost 3.5 inches, but this is a loft up high in the clouds.
Yeah,
so by the time it makes its way down, we're looking at the possibility of maybe 2 to 2.5 inch hail easily, which has been reported by the National Weather Service as the primary threat with the hail up to 2 inches for sure, with some locations.
Yes, Libby, go ahead.
Making its way from Grand Saline down towards Jones and Pruitt.
Okay, Stephanie Esquivel is with us on the phone. She's on 198, headed to Canton High School right now. Stephanie, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Okay, Stephanie, tell me what you're seeing out there tonight.
Well, when we originally knew about the storm, we wanted to go to Houston where it had been confirmed that it was down, and we were driving from 98, and all of a sudden, the visibility was really bad. It was rain bad. We didn't feel safe on the road anymore. And at some point, we found to turn around. We had seen a 2-story house on the way. We turned around and looked at 2-story that 2-story home at 6 ago had already gone through there. I mean,
Okay, Stephanie, we're gonna try to reconnect on your phone there, the connection stuff. I know we've probably got some tower issues, electrical and whatnot. Power outages, yeah, go ahead, Libby. About 5,000 people without power in the Van Zandt County area, or 2,000 SWEPCO, and 5,000 with Encore. Okay, I think that's what we're looking at on the screen right now is some power outage maps. Okay, very good for that. Tashara and Dana are continuing to get data and new information coming in from the newsroom. It is a very fluid and sad night for East Texas. A year ago today, we dealt with the Lindale tornado that went through. Dana, you'll remember that. Lindale tornado went up and into Hawkins. It was on the ground for about 25, 30 miles. And today we're dealing with other tornadoes. So we continue to assess the situation, both as it is from a weather perspective and also from a news perspective. This turns into a news story here as we get the weather out of the way. We've still got plenty of weather to be concerned with, but the hail potential here right now doesn't look quite as impressive as it did a couple of scans ago, but still some, I would say at least quarters to maybe ping pong ball sized hail east of 110, south of Highway 80. That's going to be southeast of Grand Saline, and then back east of 110, just due east of Jones. Let's see here. Let's, 1 second, let me check one thing here real quick. Circulation east of Jones Pruitt, moving east towards the county line, still a damaging wind threat. Can't rule out a brief spin up here as well. This stuff seems to be trying to get itself under control, but the potential for some smaller spin ups definitely not out of the question. If I'm in Van, I want you to continue in your safe spot here for another 10 to 15 minutes, anywhere from Van back up to Pruitt, and the hail and the wind concern. The hail is more of a problem from Pruitt back up to Jones, but the tornado threat's going to be, if there is one, just south of there. Usually displaced just south of the main hail core. So that's what we're seeing right now. We've got our news team here, Tashara and Dana. Always glad to see you guys. Sorry we have to see you on a Saturday night under these conditions. What are you guys seeing from the newsroom side?
Yeah, we've been following along with you this breaking news all night. The weather situation, tornado warnings issued for Franklin, Smith, and Wood counties until 8 p.m. And we've also been receiving reports of tornadoes that you guys have been talking about in Van Zandt and Henderson counties. Just so much devastation right now.
Yeah, we have not, of course, not yet been able to confirm how many people were injured in these possible tornadoes, but we have heard reports that there are EMS crews treating patients. Yeah, team coverage of the storm damage right now. We are moving to East Center between Canton and Grand Saline. We're going to try to get some people on the phone right now. Yeah, Sasha Wilson and our photographer Alan Casper are there, and we've heard there's widespread damage all along I-20. How's it looking where you guys are? Okay, well, we're going to go to the pictures that we do have from them. We have some pictures that Stephanie Esquivel sent into this. This is along Van Zandt County. We know that along the way, she and her photographer, Jason, had to seek shelter as those possible tornadoes passed through. Maybe we can take some of those full screens.
Yeah, we have quite a few photos. There we go.
Yeah, and here are some more. This is actually some video sent in by Jeff Whitworth. You probably saw the guys talking about this video earlier. We believe this damage, that was near in Grand Saline, correct? Is that where we're getting that from?
Yes.
Thank you.
And can you go now in the booth to some of the photographs that Stephanie sent us? I think there should be 3 of those in there. There should be some full screen graphics. Here we go. Okay, so here are some of her photos. This is damage along FM 1651, and where they took shelter from the storm. You can see the tornado just blew this roof off right there. Here is some more damage of trees down in that area as well. Many roads, we're told, are not passable right now and even closed. So we definitely want you to be careful if you're out there, because it is starting to get dark. It is dark. I'm looking over at our Tyler live cam, and so that is not the place you want to be right now, is on the road. You don't know if you're going to run into some power lines or maybe some down trees and then get into a different situation.
And I'm being, go ahead, Dana. Okay, well, I'm being told right now we have Tammy, I believe it was Prater, on the line right now, and she is with the American Red Cross to kind of assess the situation and let us know what's going on out there. How you doing, Tammy?
Well, concerned like all of you are as well, and so very worried about our families out there in East Texas. We are kind of in the same shape as a lot of other people in that the debris on the ground and power lines down. And
hey, Tammy, can I interrupt you for just 1 second? Tammy, can you hear me? This is Dana. I am so sorry to interrupt you, and I want you to stay on the phone with us, but our weather team has just gotten another tornado warning that they're watching, so please stay on the phone while they update us on this right now. Alberto?
Sure.
Yeah, that's correct, Dana. We apologize for the interruption, but we do have a new tornado warning in effect here for Smith County. There we go, I just popped up, TV Magic. Smith County and Wood County. This is extreme northwestern parts of Smith County and a good chunk of Wood County. This is pushing off to the northeast at about 35 to 40 miles an hour. Here's the area of rotation. We were monitoring that area of rotation not too long ago. It was much, much broader, and it was actually weaker, but it has strengthened once again, and they do have a radar-indicated tornado warning in effect until 9:15 as it continues to push off to the northeast here. It should be crossing into Wood County momentarily. I'm not sure there we go. It should be crossing into Wood County here probably about the next 4 to 5 minutes or so. And again, that's the rotation that we're monitoring just northeast of Pruitt. Should be crossing into extreme northwestern parts of Smith County, and it'll be just north of the Lindale area heading towards Mineola and Wood County. So if you're in Mineola, you definitely want to start seeking shelter now. Again, the most interior part of your house, away from any windows or a hallway if possible, and you want to make it in the first level or bottom level as that continues tracking off to the northeast. And again, that warning in effect, radar indicated until 9:15. Back to you guys.
All right, thank you for that, Alberto. Again, we're going to go back to Tammy Prater with the American Red Cross to kind of get an update on what's going on out there. Tammy?
Okay, my tornado app was going off. Anyway, yes, it's not a night to be out, and so we have someone on ground in Eustis right now, but that's very preliminary. They were able to get in between storms. We still are, every time we try to get someone into Van Zandt County, and we've got people on the ground in Van Zandt County that can't get to the staging area because the sirens keep going off. So it's a bad night, and we are so concerned for our families. But really and truly, everyone needs to stay in tonight and be prepared to go to their place of safety. This is not a night to be out looking. It's too dangerous. I also want, if you could, to let everyone know, if anyone needs the Red Cross tonight and needs our assistance, we are going to make every effort to get to you every way we can. The number to call is a toll-free number, and we'll be answering it 24/7. That number is 866-505-4801. Again, that is 866-505-4801. That is a 24-hour Red Cross dispatch line. And that will give us, help us be aware of, families who are having a problem tonight. Again, everyone be safe.
All right, Tammy, we definitely appreciate you for being on the line with us. I don't know if you guys caught a bit of what Tammy was saying. She's saying the lines are all jammed up, and they're trying to get as many people as possible to the areas where they need help. But I'm going to go ahead and let you go ahead and take it over, Dana.
Yeah, even first responders not being able to get where they need to get at this point. We know the guys at the Weather Center are watching something right now. Are you guys ready to take this back over?
Yeah, we got it here,
Okay.
Dana. New tornado warning for northern Smith County and Wood County till 9:15. This storm here is going to pass probably just near the Jamestown community, maybe just north of Jamestown. Continue running over Highway 80. And if I'm in Mineola, it's going to be coming up on you from the southwest. It is radar indicated. The rotation in there is not as impressive as some of the stuff we've seen earlier in the day, but we've also discovered that it doesn't take a whole impressive lot of circulation, especially at this particular point in the cycle to produce a tornadic issue. So this will be east, northeast of Pruitt, rather, east of 110, and probably there's another little circulation, looks like trying to get itself maybe going just there north of 110, northern Smith County. But the warning is going to be impacting these folks up here well north of Lindale. And if you're in Mineola, southeastern, southwestern pocket of Wood County, be in your safe spot now. If you're along the Wood-Van Zandt County line on the Van Zandt County side of things, there north of Pruitt, be in your safe place as well. Northern Smith County, extreme northern Smith County, this is well north of Tyler, well north of Lindale, Jamestown, some of the smaller communities, rural areas there of northern Smith County right now. That's the newest warning that we have. I think we're cut off on the cable side of things, but I know we're still on the app and we're also on Facebook Live. So stand by for additional updates from us. Dana and Tashara will get it back to you guys here for a minute, and we'll have additional data in a second. Okay, Libby, you want to handle those, or you want me to?
We can take it over from here, Doc.
ETMC reporting 49 injured.
Go ahead.
49 injuries at ETMC from, okay. Do we know where those are from? We assume they're from Canton, I would bet. Okay.
Also, Doc, I know you reported this a little bit earlier, but that AMBUS is en route. It's from the Regional Advisory Trauma Service Area. They're also known as RACG. Okay, so basically what this is, it's an ER on wheels, and they are en route right now, along with their medical director, to the Canton area to treat what we don't know how many people are injured at this point.
It's at Canton High School, correct?
Yes, that is where they're going to be all coming together. That's going to be the Canton High School is going to be the command center tonight. I was on the phone with them a little bit earlier today. Again, what they were mentioning, the cell service is very spotty in that area because of all of the damage, which is why when we've been trying to toss to our reporters several times, that signal has gone out because, frankly, they've had to take cover very many times tonight.
Very quickly as well.
Exactly. We do have some video, and these are pictures from a car dealership along Interstate 20. Hope you guys have those up. There you go.
There we go. Yeah, we got these pictures from a car dealership off of Interstate 20, as Dana just mentioned, where cars are just destroyed. We are trying to get crews to the location right now. Again, emergency personnel are requesting you not to get out on the roads at this point, as many places are scattered with debris and dangerous debris, rather, especially as darkness comes in.
I mean, just look at all these cars just smushed together. Now, here's another picture of a building in that area that is basically in pieces, mangled metal.
Okay, and I'm getting word right now that we actually have one of our reporters on the line right now. It's Sasha Wilson, and she is at a home in Grand Saline right now. Sasha, what can you tell us at this point?
Hey there, Dana and Tashara. Yes, I am in Grand Saline. I am actually in the house of Texan Jeff Whitworth. He is a farmer and software engineer, but he was outside mowing today. He was outside mowing his lawn. He was telling me that he saw a funnel kind of come down, and he sent video earlier, so we can probably show that a little later. But I'm sitting here with Jeff. Jeff, tell me what it was like and what happened.
I saw the clouds coming together and forming a funnel, and I'd seen clouds kind of twist together before, but they'd never turned into a tornado. And this time I watched them, and they kept twisting and kept coming together and getting lower. And I thought they might come down and descend upon my house. So instead of running towards my house, I ran away.
And just to interrupt you for one moment, some property some buildings on his property sustained damage. He has 3 really big greenhouses, and the roofs were kind of just completely ripped off. And then as we were out here doing the live interview or trying to set up, hail came down just suddenly out of nowhere, and it was just ripping through. The wind was so strong that the rain was slanted almost horizontal, and so was the hail. The hail was about a quarter-sized nickel, dime-sized hail, and so we were out there. We took shelter in one of his barn shed areas, and then it was coming down so hard that we were kind of scared for our lives, so we ran into his house. That's where we are now. So I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jeff. Go ahead and continue. So you saw the funnel cloud, and then what happened?
Yeah, I did. I saw the clouds coming together and coming down, but what surprised me most was almost still, not moving very much. The trees were kind of blowing a little bit, but all of a sudden a very different wind came, and that's what blew the plastic off the top of the one greenhouse that was still looking good. It blew it off, and the trees bent over really, really low, big trees bent over really low, and I thought they were going to break. And the funnel cloud, as it was forming, kind of the shape of the bottom of a bowl underneath this cloud. It moved across behind my house, over my tank, and over some trees, and it kept becoming more defined and turned into what you would think of as a funnel cloud, very long and narrow, and traveled, as best I could tell, it was traveling north and west away from me towards Highway 17, Highway 80, and ultimately Highway 19. I still don't know where it went, and I've heard that some people are hurt. I'm very concerned about them, but I saw it go in that direction, and that's what I experienced.
Wow. So, yes, there have been reports that there are 49 people injured. Last we talked to ETMC, 49 injured, and so our meteorologists are absolutely advising that people stay off the roads. As we were headed here...
Hey, Sasha, I hate to interrupt you right here, but our weather team has told me they have something that they need to let our viewers know at this point. We appreciate you showing us that video and giving us an update. Alberto is now in the Weather Center with the latest on this situation.
Yeah, we have a new tornado warning. It's for Smith and Wood County until 9:15 as well. But the reason for that is because they've noticed an area of circulation close to that rotation, actually, across the northern parts of Smith County out here. This is a little further south than the original rotation that prompted the first tornado warning, so they went ahead and expanded that warning a little further to the south and east. And you guys cannot hear me right now, so there's your video.
They can probably on the app, though.
Okay, the app.
And yeah,
app, radio, and Facebook Live. I do believe we still have you guys.
We should be hot there. So go
we're
ahead.
looking pretty good. If you're watching us on one of the social media sites or on our app, again, that area of rotation has shifted further south, just south of Mineola, making its way across Highway 69 right now. And that warning, again, similar to the other one until 9:15. And we're looking at this pushing off to the east-northeast, again, 35 to 40 miles an hour. This is going to be hugging just along the Smith County, Wood County line, just north of Lindale. Lindale, technically, you are in this warning. However, the rotation is well north of you to create any concerns for you guys immediately. But anywhere from 69 out towards Mineola is where we're seeing that broad rotation currently going on right there. Nothing really too concerning as far as the gate-to-gate shear or the pixels that we see close to each other to really alert us of a possible tornado, but the National Weather Service does, in Shreveport actually, does say that a tornado could drop out of this at any moment out here, and we're also seeing the probability of large hail. We saw the National Weather Service in Fort Worth earlier talking about 2.5 inches just north of that area of circulation, just around the Mineola. The hail threat has minimized a little bit, but we're still concerned with this right here. We got the outbound winds and the inbound winds. Green is inbound, winds going towards the radar, and then the red is winds going away from the radar. The closer that gets and the brighter and hotter the colors get, the stronger the winds are and the stronger the rotation becomes. Right now it is broad, and this is all radar indicated warning until 9:15 for Smith and Wood County. That threat does include Lindale, but the good news is it appears to be far enough north to where Lindale should be in the clear for this.
Alberto, there's some hefty wind, it looks like, crossing Highway 69 right now. I'm looking at some, at least the radar velocity showing close to 100 miles an hour, right along 69, at just about to the river. Honestly, north of Lindale, 70 to 90 mile an hour winds in there. You'll see it what I'm talking about on the scope right there on the velocity. So we don't want to discount that either. So besides the tornado threat, which is back here to the south-southwest, we've got some, looks, I mean, you know, take it for what it's worth, but it looks to be a significant amount of wind potentially crossing 69 out ahead of this. We'll see if we have reports of that being confirmed. But the storm here definitely has taken the shape of one that has a significant amount of rotation in it. You can kind of make out how it's beginning to just kind of folds back to the southwest, kind of like a little hook, fish hook does. You hear us talk about the hook signature. That's would seem to be what we're looking at here. It seems to be taking on more of that consistency with some of the storms that we saw earlier on in the afternoon, Alberto.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, we're seeing that hook that, as mentioned, that latest scan pushes it a little further to the north from that location you just pinpointed out there. And again, that's just going to be south of Mineola, making its way towards Highway 69. And we have two things going on here. We do have, all right, cool. We do have the stronger winds associated with that on the front leading edge of that, which is where we're seeing the tight gradient from the light greens into the reds and oranges on the reflectivity. And then we do have an overlay here showing the velocity product, and that velocity product a little further back is showing that area of rotation that you were just mentioning about, again, push a little further to the northeast. I do believe Lindale is good to go as far as this rotation is concerned, but again, everything has been so broad and these storms continue pulsing up and down that we really don't know when the next area of tight rotation will happen. It could actually, in a few scans from now, can actually take place a little further south, closer to Interstate 20. It's been a really chaotic atmosphere with lots of instability, so these tornadoes could drop from almost any of these storms at any given time.
Yeah.
But we're going to continue monitoring this tornado warning. Again, it is radar indicated, not confirmed or observed. It's going to push to the northeast 35 miles an hour. Tornado warning for Smith and Wood County until 9:15. Dana Tashar.
All right, thank you, Alberto.
We now want to go to Jen Moynihan. She's live at a store, I believe, a TxDOT office, off of I-20. Jen, what can you tell us?
Yeah, that's right, Tashara. I am at a TxDOT office here off of I-20 over in Canton. Right now, TxDOT, they told us they're going to be bringing in 12 different crews from over in the area to come in and clear debris. We've got Canton Fire here as well as Lindale Fire, and they're planning on going out to help individuals out in the area. We know that the power is out in several surrounding areas, will be found out from the fire department. We also know that the interstate, we can see that it's a little bit backed up out here. We also spoke with a family that's in here. They're originally from Tyler. They're on their way out to Dallas, and they've been here as well with us and are in the process of taking shelter. It's a wife, her husband, and their young son.
All right, thank you so much, Jen, for giving us that update tonight. Again, it is hard for even our reporters, I want to reiterate, to get to where they need to go because so many times they've had to seek shelter. The weather crew has mentioned this several times before. This story is going to unfold for the days to come of just how much damage that we have in Van Zandt, Henderson counties, because we haven't even gotten to Henderson County yet.
We can't make it to Henderson County to get all the footage that we needed.
Exactly. So this is a scary situation. We are with you here tonight, and we're thinking about you. We want to send it back over to the Weather Center right now, where they are following even more weather right now.
Yeah, let's reiterate the tornado warning for northern Smith County, guys. The storm itself, if I'm in Lindale, I want to be in my place of shelter. Let's just say it for what it is. If this thing were to make a right-hand move, Lindale is officially in the polygon, so the Weather Service did that for a reason. There's definitely an area of circulation, it looks to me, right along 110 Garden Valley area. This thing moving northeast at about 35 to 45 miles an hour. And I continue to see what looks to be some significant wind along Highway 69 out ahead of this thing, anywhere from 50 to maybe 70, 80 mile an hour winds in there. At least it's showing it on the velocity products that we're seeing. And some of it almost, it looks almost like a Boeing signature on some of the products that I'm looking at. It doesn't really represent itself here that way. But it is something that's going to be problematic. This is north of Lindale, up closer to the river, and going up into off of Horde Road there. Horde Road cuts off of 69 there north of Lindale. So if you're out in that area, there's some pretty open country out in this particular part of Smith County, and you've got less in the way of tree coverage as you get out there towards the river, and that wind can really start hauling, and there's nothing to slow it down. So if you are in that area, let's say from northern sections of Lindale back north, straight line wind concern back southwest of Lindale, the tornado concern is definitely there. Let's try to look inside the storm. As we talked about, the beam, by the time it gets to this point across Smith County, is exceptionally high in the atmosphere, upwards of maybe a mile, 2 miles potentially. So what we're seeing here is pretty high up in the storm. But you know, we definitely need to pay close attention to that. There are chasers and spotters in the area, so we're going to depend on those eyes. Fire department hopefully is out and about with some people who can see this kind of stuff. We're going to be looking for power flashes, things like that, to tell us what we got. Libby, go ahead. Video from Canton over our Twitter page. Okay, very good.
Yeah, I've heard they've had some flash flooding in that area. We've got
a lot,
permission
yes,
to use this video, so there's another reason why you don't want to be out on the road.
Right.
We all know how dangerous flash flooding can be.
Yeah, and a reminder also, if you see any down power lines or anything along those lines, to make sure don't go anywhere near those. You never know if they're live or active or what have you.
Yeah, we were checking SWEPCO's and Encore's pages, and they have projections that maybe some of this power not going to be on until sometime tomorrow. So you should consider tomorrow morning when you go out, and if you see power lines still down, stay away from them. We do not want to have anyone be hurt that way in East Texas. I know recently up in the North Texas area, they had a situation with that. We're looking at the outages map right now. Is this Encore? Or it's Encore. I think this is...
Says about, is that 4,000, Libby?
Probably so.
4,600 outages. What county is this we're looking at?
Hard to see in here. I know that last report, Van Zandt County, yeah, somewhere in this area, about Van Zandt County area, roughly close to 5,000 people who are in the dark, which makes a lot of sense. In the reporting that we've done tonight, we know that they've been hit pretty hard by this severe weather, and that much of that will probably not be touched maybe until tomorrow, because
hopefully
right now
tomorrow,
they're trying to get to the injured people, the people who are possibly trapped in their homes. We just don't know what the full scale of this will be since it happened later towards the afternoon and now that it's dark. But we did talk to the Red Cross earlier, and get your pen and paper ready. If you need this number, it's 866-505-4801. They are here to help you. This is our Red Cross in East Texas.
They are also having issues with their phone lines. So
exactly.
If you don't get through the first time, make sure you, of course, keep trying to call. But right now, everyone pretty much across East Texas are having a few issues with the phone lines being jammed up.
We mentioned Canton High School. Not that we want you to get out on the roads, but that is the command center. So if you're worried about someone, but also usually you can get that information. If you're worried about someone, the Red Cross can help you with that. 866-505-4801.
Yeah, do as much as you can from home if possible.
Again, I talked to Cheryl Coffey. She's the president and CEO of Ambus. En route, maybe possibly there now. This is the Regional Advisory Trauma Service area. We know they've got people to treat in this Van Zandt County, Wood County area. Crews are either there or en route with their medical director to help triage these folks that are injured.
And Dana just mentioned the Red Cross number that you guys can call. We actually have Tammy Prater on the line right now from American Red Cross, kind of giving us an update on what's going on. Hey, Tammy.
Still trying to get people in position. As you're well aware, the sirens keep going off, and we keep having to take shelter. It is very likely there will be a shelter open tonight in Canton, but I do not have that location for you yet. And as soon as I do have a confirmation, I will get back to you with that. But very likely there will be a shelter open in Canton tonight, and we will get that word out to you. Again, if anyone needs our help, please call 866-505-4801. We want to make sure that everyone who needs help tonight gets help. Obviously, if there's an emergency, call 911, and otherwise stay off the roads and just keep inside away from the debris and the down power lines. But we are standing by and, reaching out with all of our emergency managers, and we'll be trying to set up response where they want us.
Tammy, any idea at this